Folks, please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all for coming out on this winter's night. This is the January 23rd meeting of the Town of Canandaigua Planning Board. I see some unfamiliar faces, so I will go through introducing the folks up front. To my right here is Karine Hatch, our secretary. Kim Burkert is our facilities coordinator in terms of digital and all things electrical. Tim Schneider is our alternate board member. Mark Tolbert is one of our active board members. We have Scott Neal, board member, Amanda Van Laken, board member, Bob LaCourse, board member, I'm Chuck Euler, chairman of the board, Kristen Smith, zoning officer with the site representing MRP is Matt Sousa. And as always, Chris Nadler, attorney. And that's who we are. So we'll find out who you are as we go through the agenda. I will follow the agenda in the order in which it's been published. I want to point out that we have 2 emergency exits should the need arise to have to leave the room. So please note where they are located. As far as how we proceed, as I said, we'll go through the agenda as published. When a particular item comes up on the agenda that you're here for, the board will ask someone who represents the applicant to make a presentation. Please come to the podium, give us your name and address so we have it for the record. And then the board will ask any questions, make any comments regarding the application. I will then open it up to the general public for anybody in the public who would like to ask questions or comment on the application. And then the board will reconvene and hopefully come to a decision this evening. Okay, first item on the agenda that involves your participation, if need be, is the privilege of the floor. Is anyone here like to address the board regarding an issue that is not on the agenda? Either here or out in TV land? If not, we'll proceed to attesting that we have a couple of public hearings tonight. Those public hearings were all advertised in the January 18th edition of the Daily Messenger. So that can be attested to. I'm going to hold off on the organizational meeting issues. That's some housekeeping that we have to do, but I won't bore you folks with those procedures. We'll take care of that at the end of the meeting. Just someone from the board remind me to go back to it. Okay, we'll go right into new public hearings. The first one is Jessica Fraley of Clinton Signs representing Greg Moyer of Whitewaters Parkway, Suite 100, East Syracuse, owner of property at 3225 State Route 364. They are here this evening for a building sign on a multi-tenant commercial plaza in the commercial district, seeking a special use permit from the planning board for a sign that's already been installed. So is someone here? I'll open the hearing. Is someone here representing the applicant?
Good evening. My name is Mike Mamano. I'm with Clinton Sign Company. Okay, can you hear me?
Mike. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we're the sign company proposing the Dollar Tree signage that obviously has already been installed. We had some issues in the early permitting process, getting our permit information into the new system, the cloud system. And then there was a handful of issues as far as getting paperwork and document signs from the landlord and such. And as time passed, we were kind of in a bind to put the sign up before we really wanted to. And that's pretty much the story for that.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. It's not hard to see what the sign's going to look like. Anybody from the board have any comments regarding what they see or what they've read? No comment. No comments. I guess we're confirming that it is a wrong resolution. The sign is the size that is published in the application and on the resolution. I think there was a little bit of back and forth as far as the size of the sign. It's 80 square feet. Total overall height is 76 inches. Oh, wait a minute, I'm looking at the wrong one.
No, the wrong one.
Yeah, that's it.
It's 36 by
Yeah, okay.
30 in the middle.
Yep, I'm sorry, I had the right one in the first place. You threw me off this,
It's 91.5 squared with a max is 92. Yep.
okay, we did send this and referred it to New York Department of Transportation, since it is on a state highway. They had no issues since it was not in the right of way, of course. It was also reviewed by the county planning board at its meeting on January 10th. They had no formal recommendation regarding the application. ZLD just went over what we just talked about as far as already being installed and the size being what it is. No comments from our code enforcement officer. And they are requesting, and I believe it's in the resolution, that's what I was looking for, a waiver from a professionally prepared plan. And that is shown in the whereas, next to last whereas. So if the board has no problem with that, I think we're ready to move on. Is there anyone in the audience, since this is a public hearing, like to address the board regarding this application? If not, is the board ready to move on? Okay, I will close the hearing. And we're looking at both a seeker type 2 as well as a special use permit. Chris, is this one we gotta go over all those issues you talked about? Noise?
No,
No,
not this.
okay. All right, it is a special use permit.
Yeah, it's a catch, but that's not what I.
Okay, I hope not. Okay, then I think we're ready to move on. So if someone wants to give me a motion on the seeker type 2 resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve the seeker type 2 for CPN 23-067 at 3225 State Route 364.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to well, we have a site plan without we have a site plan resolution without a site plan. But knowing our procedures, Mr. Nadler, you want us to pass a site plan approval resolution as well as a special use permit?
We'll have a location of the.
I think if you scroll
I
down
didn't
the,
review this one in advance.
there you go, that's about the best we can
Looks like,
do.
you're gonna waive the professional prepared site plan, that looks like a site plan. And what you're doing is granting the site plan for the location of the sign.
Okay, does that-
Clearly shows.
I think that has a date in the corner there, the lower right. Do you want to scroll up a little bit?
As a blank, oh, 2/27/23.
Okay, so if we put that date in the single stage site plan approval resolution, that would work for you, right? And for me, I think.
Yes, that's
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, I need a motion to approve the site plan that's related to the special use permit, but this is just the site.
I'll make that, Chuck, I'm making a motion first, a single stage site. On CPN 23-067. For 3225 State Route 364.
I'll second. A motion a second. Matt, do you want to note the date of that plan in the first whereas?
Yes.
That's typically where we have the plan dates. All right, a motion a second and further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Last, we have the actual special use permit. And as our attorney said, we don't have to go through all the conditions that a special use permit has to meet, so it's got the everything that I was looking for. Someone want to make a motion?
I move to accept the special use permit for CPN 23067.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion second. Further discussion, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unopposed. Okay, thank you for coming in, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. You have a great evening.
Take care of that sign. All righty. Our next public hearing is for CPN 088 Logan Rockcastle, representing Roger Layton. Property at 5993 County Route 32. And he has a site plan request for construction of a new single-family residence driveway of wastewater treatment system for the dwelling unit, on which there are two existing accessory buildings in the AR2. They're requesting a waiver from the special use permit requirements previously granted. So this has been going on for a while, and I think we had delayed it because we had to hear back from the county, which we have. So Logan, you want to bring us up to date?
Yeah, so the special use permit, it's kind of an update. So the special use permit was for the parcel itself. And since we are adding a single family residence to it, we have to add the verbiage into it to include single family house and the construction staging area. So we're requesting to update that with the approval of the site plan for the single family residence. We are tapping into an existing lateral that is existing on site. We also have a pull-off on the driveway due to the distance from the road to the house, which is typical. We also have a turnaround at the end of the driveway. Grading channels water around the septic and towards the lowest part of the site in the back. It's a pretty straightforward single-family residence site plan. If you have any questions on the special use permit or details on the plan, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, let's sort of take these things in the order of the SUP first, the special use permit. Just because there is an existing permit. That permit was issued back in I think 2019. And I guess the first question I have, has the applicant been running his operation in accordance with the permit? I don't know if you can answer that, Kristen, or?
I have not been there.
Okay.
I believe Roger's on the Zoom.
Good evening, Roger.
He can probably answer that question.
Thanks for checking. Well, we'd be up to one of our code people to
Yeah,
tell us
sure.
whether it's in compliance. I
Sure.
usually don't ask the applicant if sure. But Roger, do you want to give us an update on your operations out there?
Yeah, as far as the special use permit goes, obviously we're granted it for, what we requested. It's very low key out there. I've had no issues as far as anything. I mean, I've had no complaints, nothing from anybody. Like I said, it's low key. We're in and out of there. We don't, cause a lot of ruckus or noise. So there hasn't been any issue up to this day.
I remember there was concern from the neighbors however many years ago.
Mhm.
Have we checked to see if the town has any complaints? Mr. Layton, have you had any communication with your neighbors, the ones across the street, as I recall? Have they said, wow, we thought this was gonna be a problem, but it turns out you don't bother us at all? Where are we with that?
I've had no complaints as far as the town notifying me that there was any issues. We followed all the, everything that was asked for with the trees, keeping things where they were supposed to be kept. As far as the neighbor goes, I've heard height or hair of the neighbor as far as since we've got the special use permit. I couldn't honestly even tell you the neighbor's name because I don't remember it. But I've had no run-ins with her. I do know the son-in-law lives over there, and I see him pulling out of the driveway quite often, and I wave to him. That's about all I can tell you. So, but I've had no complaints brought to my presence.
Town has received no.
Yeah, we did receive, in fact, yesterday, it was dated yesterday, the 22nd, a email from a neighbor who had talked to Sarah Reynolds. And she had essentially two questions, and they're, will the revised SUP include the area behind the large pole barn adjacent to the approved storage area? This area appears now to be used for additional construction storage, equipment storage. You will note the original application is a hand-drawn map which identifies the construction area perimeters and does not include the area of equipment storage. And I noticed that when I was out there also, Mr. Layton. I think on your originally drawn plan that you got your approval with, it had it had parking in front of the barn between the barn and the road. When I was out there, most of your parking was to the rear, which in my opinion is for the betterment of everything, because it seemed to keep everything away from the view of people traversing County Route 32. So that's a good thing. And her other question was, is the larger pole barn going to be used in the operation of the construction company in the future? A large pole barn has previously been identified and approved for agricultural use. I'm not sure what she was talking about there. Can you?
So we currently operate out of that smaller pole barn as a storage unit. I mean, all our work is done off site. So we still operate out of that smaller barn. We come to pick up materials or any tools that we're needed, and we leave site. So as far as that goes, that's a personal, I mean, that barn is separate from, I mean, it's there, and I obviously park stuff behind it to keep it, out of the presence of County Road 32, but it's not used as a storage building.
Okay.
There's no new barn plan, right?
No.
So can you just identify the little barn is used?
No,
Which
well, that's,
barn?
I wasn't sure what the neighbor was.
Yeah. So the neighbors, there's two different outbuildings on the parcel now, one bigger and larger, obviously, that you've seen where I park everything behind. And then there's a smaller one that was there prior when we did the special use permit, which is the building we use to store equipment and tools of such nature that can fit inside. So on a daily basis, we pull up to that barn, load our trucks, and we leave and go off to work.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. Corinne, just for the record, I was on site and talked to both Mr. Layton and his wife, Mrs. Layton. Logan or Mr. Layton, can you talk about, and we talked about it out there, there's a couple dead trees out there. Are those gonna be replaced?
Yeah, so as I was, telling you, and I'll explain further to the rest of everybody. Obviously, planting them pine trees was part of my first initial special use permit, and we did and followed through and planted the trees. After planting them the first year, the first season, we planted them in the fall, and then the new season comes and they start to green and so on and so forth. I mean, by the end of that season, I looked at the trees and said to my wife, I said, they're, hideous. They're ugly. They're dying. I wanted to rip them all out, but everybody kept telling me, no, just hold off, just wait. They'll come around. They'll come around. My first impression was tear them down. They look like garbage when everybody passes by. But I listened to a few other people that I was talking to about them and left them alone. And since then, I do have two that do need to be replaced out of all 15 of them or 13 of them, however many are up there. So I'm glad I was patient and listened to others, but yes, at this point I have two that I need to pop out and replace, and that isn't my intention to do so. Since then, I've, on the other side of the I've planted 3 other trees. I'm working slowly to do some more trees here and there on the face of the property, but it all takes time and money and so on and so forth. But I do acknowledge that the trees that are part of the special use, the first special use permit, is getting that do have to be replaced, as soon as possible.
Thanks, Roger. One other question I had, it was snowy there that day when I was there. Can you confirm that you did pave that first 30 or so feet of the driveway? As it enters 32 there, by road?
That is correct. This past season, the mouth of the driveway has been paved from the road down 30+ feet. Just as far as I wasn't made to do it, or it wasn't something that was requested. I did it on my own for one of ease of getting out of the driveway, carrying any loose stones out onto the road, so on and so forth. But yes, that is done with blacktop.
Thank you. And when we were out there, we talked about your water meter, and that's at the street, and you're making your water connection for your house between the street and your barn. That's correct?
Yes. Yes. I had the water brought across the street over there, and I have a meter pit installed, which the town installed, obviously. So the water source is ready to connect to. And obviously there's a meter pit there because it's over so many feet, and if there's ever an issue, I'm liable for it.
And just one for the record, I noted that there's a blue line screen from the DEC running through your property, but you're well off of 100 feet of that screen. Just for the record, the stream is there, but you're away from it over 100 feet.
Yeah, we were cognizant of that stream going through the site, and we wanted to make sure we were well away from it.
Yep. Sometimes those aren't mentioned, and then
Yep.
they're not.
Anything else?
Water dead. Nope, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else on the board? Questions, concern? This is a bit complicated as far as the SUP, and I'll try to just go through it. You got a special use permit back in 2019.
Right.
And then you subdivided the property. Right. And that included waivers for having a dwelling unit on the same property as the construction company. So you got that waiver.
Yep.
You then subdivided that house off of the construction company.
Right.
Property. And now you're coming back to put a house on a lot that has a construction company.
Right, so it's.
So I think, Chris, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think when we first talked about this last fall, I think you felt that they were still in compliance because they essentially have a house and construction company, be it that it's a new house, not the original house, but as a result of subdivision, cut the original house away from the construction company.
Yeah, so I don't recall, I recall talking about it, but I think at the time, my thought was, it's good advice. Was you granted a waiver based on the original 2019 site plan, which had that house on it. Or the existing house on it. Now that that's been taken away, they didn't need a waiver until they're gonna put an additional house on it. That changes the circumstances, so I think the planning board can and should consider the new circumstances in deciding whether or not to grant a waiver. It still seems, I mean, in my opinion, it still seems like a pretty big lot. I think the considerations are probably pretty similar. But it was a bigger lot then, and I'm assuming you'll reach the same conclusion this time, but.
So technically, we're not waiving the special use permit, we're amending it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the
Including the
resolution
granting
reflects.
of new waivers. They're the same waivers. They're
But
titled the same thing.
applying to a
Yeah.
different circumstance.
Same title, but they're different.
And the other waivers they got was connecting to a public sewer. for the storage barn. They also got having just one driveway service site. So they would remain in effect and would still apply to this application. So just clarified that it was a little complicated. I knew it was complicated when we originally did it in 2019. This didn't make it any easier, but I think we've got it straightened out.
I got a issue as well while I'm thinking about it, and I may just be missing it. But I was looking earlier and it looks like we don't have a site plan for the special use permit. We got a site plan for the house and an application for an amended site plan for an amended special use permit. But the things that need to be identified on the site plan for the special use permit aren't on this. I'm looking back to the 2019 site plan. And the only reason that becomes an issue is, the 2019 site plan, one identifies landscaping, and the parking area, which is right there, on the road side of the small barn. But I guess Mr. Layton is parking stuff on the opposite side of the big barn, which seems to me to be good, but we should have a site plan that identifies that. I think you can do that through condition.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I think you can take that site plan that you have for the house and apply whatever provisions, conditions, requirements that apply to the construction operation. Such as showing the landscaping along the frontage, anything that was part of the both the original and this soon to be amended special use permit. And would it be okay to make the approval conditional upon that occurring?
Yes, but what's coming out of the big barn? To the right, on the right side, is that a fence?
No, that's the water line.
That's a water. Oh, that's a water. So it's, what's the surface behind the big barn?
Gravel.
It's gravel, I believe. Is that correct, Roger?
Yeah, it's all existing.
Yeah, on the rear of the barn facing away from 332 is just a gravel driveway.
Okay, I mean, things like that should be identified.
Which was all identified in the original, though
Yeah.
somewhat sketchy drawing.
Yeah, I'm happy to update the site plan to accommodate the special use permit and include an existing landscape plan with proposed new planting. Yeah. As a condition of approval.
Okay, I'm just looking through, MRB had some 1020, that was a long time ago. Did you see MRB's comments?
Yeah, we addressed those.
I thought you did.
Yeah. Yeah, I have it right here. There's only 8 items that we addressed and we updated the plans based on those.
Okay. Our CEO, Mr. Murphy, just think that you come up with an address at some point. And I assume that'll be assigned,
Right.
or it has been, well, it's an existing line.
Well, it has to be, well, I'm not sure if it has been assigned. Roger, do you have an address for the business there?
No, but there has been an address signed for the new parcel, which is 5991 County Road 32. So that would be the address for that parcel now.
Well,
Back when I did my subdivision, I went to the town and talked to, I believe Chris Jensen it was, and asked what I had to do to get an address assigned for that parcel, and he said it's already been done, and that's the address he gave me.
Okay, I think the concern was for EMS, we make sure that there's a bona fide, certified, accurate address. So if that's the address, all well and good, 5991 it is.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
The county planning board, their only comments had to do with similar what we've been talking about as far as showing all the details related to the special use permit on the plan. Jim Fletcher had a question, I think, on the water line and putting a pressure reducing valve in. That certainly can be addressed, and I think that's a condition of the approval that the highway super, or the water superintendent's issues are addressed. The ECB, their concern was the setback from the stream, but that setback is 170 some feet, I think,
Well
from the
over
house. And your limits of disturbance, you show that on the plan? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's.
so you're not going beyond what you're showing there?
No.
Okay. The Ag Committee reviewed it. They felt it had no impact regarding agricultural significance. We did get a statement of operations from you, I believe.
Yes.
And was it signed?
I
That was,
believe it was signed.
that was a condition, I think before also that it had not been signed and dated.
It's up on.
Make sure it's signed and dated. County Public Works, as far as the street, had no issues. Talked about the landscape plan. Driveways paved. How you making out with your septic system? Have you gotten any approvals yet, or you have your plan in for the septic?
I believe it's, I'm not sure if we've had any recent correspondence with Tyler at the.
Okay, just making sure we have a condition. Am I missing it? Oh, there it is. Oh, wait, no, that's building permit. Matt, you might have to add a condition that the
Yeah, I will.
septic system has to be approved. Okay,
It's right there, isn't it? Number 6. I'm sorry.
that's perfect. Oh, wastewater. Okay,
Yeah,
I saw
right.
building permit and I saw code enforcement. Okay. Got it. That's. Yeah, the house is 178 feet from the creek. Okay. I'll open it up to anyone here, there, anywhere that would like to address the board regarding this application by Mr. Layton.
We have like a number of trucks and employees that don't look like they're in the amended statement of operation, but.
I don't have a copy of the statement from me. I knew there wasn't,
Doesn't have it.
doesn't have it.
Trying to look back to see the old one.
Has it changed since the last one? I don't know if it's did.
Roger, have you changed your operations at all since you got your original, is it essentially the same operation?
Same operation as prior, correct?
Okay.
Nothing's changed.
Same number of vehicles, equipment. Personnel's about the same, okay, your hours of operation are the same,
Correct.
okay. Chris, are you looking at this one?
Yeah,
I knew I think there were two.
yeah, I think they're pretty much the same language, just one on. Letterhead.
Okay.
I mean, how many employees do you have, Mr. Layton?
5.
So there'd be up to 5 or a few more cars parked there. And then you've got how many construction vehicles?
I'm trying to count here. 4.
Yes.
1, 2, yeah, 4.
But there's not 5 vehicles parked in the drive, they drive.
Okay,
And there's not always 5 cars parked there from employees. There's a couple employees that drive company truck, so they leave at the end of the day. So it varies, but that is the case.
And Logan, in your updated plan regarding the operation of the construction company, if you could show all parking equipment and employees in the back. Sure. I think that's the way it's been operating, so that's the way it should show. And thank you for no longer putting equipment up on County Route 32, Mr. Layton. That was a big help.
No, that's not a problem. I mean, it's all been a process, but it's come along nicely there. And, you know, as always, even before it's kept clean and neat, it's just, you know, takes time and money and effort to get it to where it's at. But
Okay.
I think it's working out good and it looks nice around there.
All right, last call on anyone from the audience would like to address the board regarding this application. If not, does the board have anything else? I will close the public hearing. And we will move on to our deliberations regarding, let's start first with let's do the amended. Oh, no, you want to do the plans first. Let's do the plans. The site plan. And by the way, this was subject to seeker back in 2019, so there's no further seeker action, or am I? Oh, there is a seeker.
You do have a seeker.
Okay, let's do it. Let's bundle the type 2 seeker with the site plan.
I will, I think we want to change some conditions on the site plan, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a motion.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay. Get the motion, then we'll.
I'll make a motion to bundle the seeker type 2 action at County Road 32 in the AR2 zoning district on CPN 23-088. Seeker type 2, no action, and a single stage site plan approval at the same location 23-088 with originally 6 conditions, but I believe there's more now.
Yeah, let's go over additional
The
conditions. Is anybody keeping track of this?
I think one was the addition of a site plan for showing the barn and everything else.
Show special use permit parking, label use of each barn, label setback to stream. Label.
It's on there.
It's on there.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that the ECB said was identify steep slopes. I don't know if that's relevant or not.
Next landscaping.
Oh, and yeah.
Yep.
And then did you want to consider saying, add a label to the parking that there's maximum employee parking of, let's say 7, that gives them a little room to grow?
Do we need to say?
I think you do, because
I thought we just said parking behind there was just as long as it's parked behind. And it was clear.
what happens if he,
Put that in the special
Quadruple.
use. Amend
Yeah.
the special use permit rather than the site plan. So sort of looking at the site plan, more or less addressing the house issue.
Yeah, the house.
yeah, but if you don't have a site plan, special use permit,
I think we can, in the special use permit, add a condition that a site plan be provided. The site plan be provided, addressing the special use conditions.
but the site plan will add the condition of show special use permit parking and label use of each barn,
Mhm.
and there's another.
Landscape.
Landscaping.
You know how this? Okay.
Now, we're talking landscaping at the road, not at the house, right? Yeah, not talking about their house landscaping, just the
Landscaping.
the buffer.
Okay, so I have a motion for seeker and site plan. Let's address that first. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Wait.
I'll second.
There was,
I'll second. I don't
Amanda.
think we got a second,
Yeah.
but I'll do it.
I knew you were gonna second.
yeah,
I see, you read my mind.
Okay, now I have a motion and a second. Okay, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's move on this. This needless of amended SUP. So we're gonna take the site plan and apply it to the amended special use permit showing all the requirements of special use permit, both the original and the new one. But in lieu of what the original had, move all parking to the rear of the big barn. Okay,
Correct.
okay. And that would show the landscaping, anything that's related to the special use. So that would be a condition of the special use permit, but I guess I need a motion to amend the special use permit first.
No, just, this would be granting it, just, you're granting a new special use permit, but it's amended. So you just have to move the adoption of this resolution with conditions that.
Okay.
are spelled out.
Can I get a motion to that effect?
The only other thing to note is condition 9. I believe there was a waiver that was granted, stating that there shall a waiver from the requirement of only one driveway serving the site. However, with the amendment, there is now only a single driveway. So I believe that condition is necessary anymore. If you'd like to strike that.
There's a single driveway serving the house and the construction.
Yes, but
Yeah.
originally it was granted a waiver. There were 2 driveways. It was given a waiver from a condition of
okay.
only being one.
Because they had
Now there is only
construction.
one that is compliant with that, therefore that waiver is not necessary anymore. So I would suggest striking condition number.
We're okay with that? Okay.
Ju-
It's not struck.
On 6, the planning board granted a waiver from a professional prepared site plan. Is this not applicable as we are going to request a site plan for the special use permit or a dual purpose plan?
Right.
And
More fair. That's fine. Amending resolution. What are we good with it?
And 7. Granted a waiver of prohibition for dwelling unit on subject property, since we just approved the site plan. Is that
So
a,
we need to grant a waiver.
Yes,
for
you
that.
need to
we
grant.
do need a grant,
We do
okay,
need-
I'm getting backwards, forward,
No, yeah,
sideways,
we do.
front ways, okay,
Yes, we are granting the waiver.
Okay.
For this action.
okay, so that's good, okay.
Okay,
I don't understand words today. And since I'm the one parting it out, I'll make the motion for the amended, special use permit approval for 23-088. So we're going to nix 6, we're going to nix 9, but I think we're going to add the mirror from the site plan. The condition that we added from
So
the
the
site
condition
plan.
is to add the approved site plan to.
Right.
The special use. permit.
Right, right.
I'll second.
You got that?
okay. Anything else
That's,
to be added or subtracted from the condition?
that's 14
I
plus
I
1.
see it has 5993 is the address. That was the original special use
Yeah,
permit.
that we did.
Do we want to make it 5991? Was that applied
Yeah.
to this property?
Yep.
All right, being all that said, I think we understand what we're voting on. Anybody not? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Layton.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Have a great evening.
All right, moving on to our next hearing. It is again, Logan Rockhouse representing Gina Riodes, Royds, Roydus.
I believe.
Is that French?
Yeah.
Oh, Greek. Owner of property at 4765 Seneca Point Road. And they're here for tonight for a subdivision of a 74.4 acre parcel into 3 parcels with lot 2. A single family dwelling to be built, lot 3 to be used in the future for a campground with a lodge and 4 cabins. And also this evening, once we get through the subdivision portion, we can talk a little bit about the site plan itself as a sketch plan, emphasizing sketch plan. And we'll give talk about a little bit about what's proposed on the sketch plan. So let's talk subdivision first. So it's a 3-lot subdivision of a 74.4 acre parcel. Shown on that subdivision plan prepared by Marks Engineering. And it's in front of you there.
So all the lots meet the criteria of minimum requirements for subdivision. You'll notice that parcel number 2 kind of looks a little landlocked, but we have an access easement going from through the site to allow access for single family residents that'll be sometime in the future, and then ultimately the campground in the back.
Is that an existing?
It's a proposed easement, right?
Okay. Board, let's just talk about the subdivision itself and not get into anything that's gonna be built on either of the lots. So I guess we're considering this as a minor subdivision. Kristen?
Correct.
So as a result, it is permitted to have access to that lot 2 via a private road, subject to all the easements and cross easements and utility easements that are required.
I was just gonna ask Kristen, did you confirm that?
With a minor subdivision.
That they're allowed to access, that we're allowed to grant subdivision? Not on any road? I guess.
It's, yeah, it's 3 lots.
Yeah, originally the applicant had 5-lot subdivision.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think we got into an issue there with, it was a major subdivision.
Yeah.
So then they had to put a road, a dedicated road.
Yeah.
So then they fell back to a 3-lot, which I guess gets it classified as a minor.
Right.
And will not require a dedicated road. Okay. Everyone understand that? Okay. You do show the NRI features on the property, correct? So
We also
feel
have a separate map that shows it, I think, a little bit more intensely. Whereas
part of the site plan.
tree lines and things like that, it's part of the sheet set. But we do show it, the features as far as the development goes too.
Mhm. And most of that shaded area, I believe, is woodlands, right?
That's steep slope.
Oh, steep slopes?
Yes.
Okay.
But then,
But there are also woodlands on, I think the concern, well, not that we're looking at the building on lot 2
Right.
at this point.
I mean, a lot of it is vacant. You can see the woodland outlined here. Okay, by this line. And it follows the gorge. Here, you can see here. A lot of it's vacant agricultural fields.
Okay. I guess the big thing is making sure that access easement is meets and bounds correctly, and it goes through the review of our solicitor, and I think that's been addressed in either the MRB letter or somewhere. That's the biggest concern.
It's been a lot of back and forth with the town to get this just right, to make sure it meets all the standards, and this is the plan we came up with coordination with the town.
Is this the original plan, less 2 lots?
This is the
I don't-
most up-to-date plan.
I don't remember the
3
gap
lots.
between lot 1 and 2. I might not be remembering it correctly. When did that separate?
What do you mean? So
The lot 3.
So it doesn't have.
Essentially goes 1, 3, 2.
Yeah, lot 3 is between
Our-
1 and 2.
Our,
Part of 3.
with talking with the town, they said we couldn't have frontage on the Seneca Point Road because it creates a flag
It would
lot.
be a flag lot. That's what I was just thinking. That's why you did that. Okay.
So we did have a version that had frontage on Seneca Point Road, but we removed it.
Okay.
There was some concern, and again, this is more related to the sketch plan. About the access, the existing driveway out to Seneca Point Road as far as sight distance. How is that sight distance? And I can't say that right back in the driveway.
The way it is now, the greatest site distance is obviously to the north, but it is, that corner is. It doesn't have the greatest site distance.
Well-
I'm not sure if it's noted on the plan.
I didn't see it. Usually you show the sight distance left and right. And that's something that you should determine and put on the plan. So.
Well, that's, once we get into more site development, that's something that we will have on the plan as far as.
Well, Logan, it's usually a requirement of subdivision.
On a subdivision, I can update the plan
So that would
accordingly.
be something you'd have to add.
Sure, that's fine.
Logan, would that other temporary road on lot 3 ever be used driveway?
At this time, no, it's not navigable, but that's something that will have to be addressed when future development happens. Yeah, it's an ag road as it's right now.
Jim Fletcher's still about 3 driveways.
Is there any way that that driveway could service lot 3?
It'd have to be regraded and you'd have to have another site plan that would address that.
Yeah, it seems like it just one driveway to 3 lots.
The reason why we have it up to the north is that that's the best access and around that corner where that existing ag drive is, I mean, it's pretty blind coming off of that. That's why we're trying to consolidate and to have one access point.
That was my biggest question, I guess, Kirsten, is that allowed? Is that development allowed with that type of driveway to access 3 different lots? It's just so weird to have that in.
Can be an ag turn. Yeah, I think you're on one egg.
Yeah, one.
What's on there? We're gonna turn it into one.
I think in the future, I know you guys are gonna bring it here for a long time from I remember, but in the future. Years down the road, if someone buys lot 2. That's my issue would be how they're gonna access that. So that's just not you. You're gonna be here a long time. I understand that.
I mean, the main reason for the subdivision is to allow for the special use permit of the campground. Because you can't have all those uses on one lot.
Right. So the campground will bring in campers, large RVs.
It's not gonna be an RV campground, it's gonna be more associated with cabins and like a retreat sense. It's not the classic RV campground destination. Yeah. But we can talk about that during the sketch plan review.
Okay, subdivision, county planning board, really didn't have any comments on the subdivision. They said they, if further comments, once the site plan is submitted. That was, I guess they had some, the actual, once the cabin operation is, and the house itself is submitted, so that would be something in the future. Tyler mentioned something about the design for lot 2, as far as the septic system is not in accordance with the perk test.
We haven't fully designed the
system
the
is.
system yet. That,
Well, and
it's
I
gonna
think,
be a future development, we just wanted to show location. In regards to steep slopes and things of that nature, we have done perk tests and we will design the. The septic system accordingly. But we
And-
haven't gotten that far in our site plan.
being
development.
this subdivision is a standalone, essentially, if. If you subdivide, you never do anything with it, it's 3 lots and it stays 3 lots, and there is a condition in the subdivision. Approval about this is not condoning that the septic system is approved, that they're buildable lots, that would have to be done. As part of your submission to Tyler and getting approval for
Correct.
him for lots 2 and 3 at some point in the future. All right, anything else on the subdivision? Before we move into maybe scroll down to the site plan, anything else on the
When do
subdivision?
we look at the ECB comments for the subdivision or? Scott,
Both.
because the ECB had a lot of comments that were.
Yes, it's but a lot of it was related to the development of lot 3, I believe, right? Excuse me.
During-
So let's hold in abeyance the actual voting on the subdivision, because something might come up in the sketch plan review. That we feel would be appropriate to the subdivision. So are we ready to move on to the site sketch plan? It's essentially a site plan.
Right, but we just
So
want,
it's gonna be acting as a sketch plan.
it hasn't been developed enough for site plan review, because there's a whole bunch of criteria that we have to do as far as infrastructure. We just want your
You're gonna hear
input.
some things tonight and
Yeah, we just want your input
Okay.
now so we can further develop our plans and maybe find something that we're missing.
okay, so let's look at the build out. So you would have a house on lot 2 with a septic system.
Right.
And then maybe the applicant wants
Well,
to
yeah,
describe the cabin, the operation of the
Anthony,
cabins and all, yeah.
I mean, have you got-
I've got something to read, you can put it in the record if you like.
Sure, you can give us a copy of it later too, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not that long. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the town board, candidate Winaldo. Present this evening to hear about our proposed project. My wife Jean and I are deeply grateful to have this opportunity to once again share our proposed plans and ideas for our space on Sunny Point Road. Our land was purchased in 2017 from the Bow family and is an amazing 75-acre parcel on the west side of Kennedy Lake that borders Barnes Gully, which drains into the lake through the Winanda. It's a property that's brought much healing and peace to our family and all that have visited and experienced it. We have plans not to exploit this wonderful space, but rather to share our beloved land by providing a safe, peaceful, nurturing environment for short-term visits for individuals, families, and small groups. It is a perfect place for personal contemplation, perhaps spiritual renewal. We will offer wellness modalities, community and private retreat circles such as yoga, breath work, cold plunge, as well as small permaculture and forestry classes. The property has awe-inspiring natural beauty, offering incredible manicured trails, meadows, valley views, deep ravine gorges, waterfalls, and bluffs, with Barnes Gully meandering almost a mile on the property line. It is an abundance of beauty and serenity and the perfect environment for reconnecting our guests with the beauty and perhaps lost aspects of themselves. From the time my wife and I visited the property, we planned on one day sharing it with others and creating a lasting legacy for our people. We trust that the board members of this board will understand our intentions and allow us the opportunity to make this dream a reality. We pledge to always cooperatively work with the town and their officials to remain in alignment with all your policies, codes, and such. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll print that.
Could someone just describe what the campsite eventually will include in terms of structures, parking,
So
infrastructure?
there's gonna be parking area that will facilitate a lodge. And then on the outskirts of the property, it'll be cabins that will house the people who want to come to this site. I do have a concept drawing of the lodge per se, if you'd like to take a look at that.
If you want to scroll down, I think the next plan is a little,
Yeah, there's a little bit closer.
this is a large scale thing. There we go.
So we have cited locations of septic system, water and things of that nature. And you can kind of see where the cabins will be located in regards to topography and different site elements. We also want to have a pond there because there is a swale, a major swale going through the property that will accommodate a decent sized pond.
Four cabins?
I believe it's four.
Yeah,
four
plus
cabins.
the lodge.
Yes.
Well, would there be a way to layer your plan over an encore kind of a map to show where it's going to be?
Like an aerial.
Yeah, like an aerial
Yeah, sure.
overview. I mean, kind of like to see that, I'm looking at an encore map right
Yeah.
now. And it's hard to actually see where this would be, and that would help
Yeah, absolutely.
for us to see where, A, the environmental board have talked about trees coming down, et cetera, what that would
Well,
entail.
Some of the aerials that are available right now may not reflect
Sure.
what is on there, but I'm happy to get the most up to date one and overlay our plan on that.
If good, since I have the floor, I'll have my questions. I'll bring it up, the Barnes Gulf easement to the town, is that a thought to you guys? We talked about it last time you guys were here. Just want to throw it out there, because that would become access to the park in the future, maybe, to the south there, or to the east. Wait a minute. To the east, southeast. So that was a thought to mine. We talked about last time, didn't come up on this one. Is there water going into the cabins, and do they have sewer?
That's up to the client. I don't know if that's been decided yet.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
imagine
We
that,
were planning on a larger septic and using E1 pumps, pump things from the cabins to the large septic. It'll be one shared, large, well-designed septic system for all those buildings on that part of the
So
parcel.
water and septic will be down there, and power, I would imagine too.
yes.
So yeah, that's not on the plan, that's what I was wondering. And your statement of operations talks about parking. I may be wrong, but your parking numbers don't match to your statement of operations, what's shown on the plan, so.
How does this, what's the,
I think it was off like 5 or something, like that. I didn't write it down exactly.
well, we're gonna update the plan
Yeah, just let
accordingly.
you know.
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing that up. When we sit back down and develop our site plan further, those things are, those are the types of things that we're gonna
Nail that one.
update.
Yeah,
So,
the other thing is with that is of course, handicap parking.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to be shown.
Yeah, we're gonna put all of that into our plans. I mean, first we have to kind of decide how many people we intend to have there and then sizes of buildings. And then once we have that established, we'll be able to accommodate people coming in accordingly.
You want to bring up the other part?
The other part.
I'll wait. That's all I have.
First and foremost, I'm sure you read the zoning ordinance regarding section 22040, having to do with special use permits regarding cabins. Make sure you meet the letter of the law, all those regulations. That is the parameter for which special use permits are issued. So that's certainly one recommendation. Reread that, make sure it's up to date. We did receive emails from neighbors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different neighbors had concerns. Kim, they're in cloud permit, I know. Is that something the applicant can go into cloud permit and read, right? So rather than sitting here reading those concerns, please, check it on cloud permit.
Absolutely.
Scott, you brought up the ECB. They had a very good report on this. Why don't you go over some of the main concerns they have and make sure the applicant will.
Okay, so I've got the minutes from the ECD, Kim sent out.
While he's bringing it up, the Ag Committee also reviewed it. They need more information also, which certainly as part of the site plan review, they would look at. The county planning board, same thing. They did comment on the subdivision, which didn't seem to be an issue. They said as I said, any comments to the site plan review? There was a mention about 2 of the cabins being on steep slopes. I think that was in the ECB comments, and I think somewhere else it was mentioned. And I guess looking at that shaded area, you have 2 cabins. Is that at the bottom of a hill or top of it?
It's kind of at the bottom of the hill.
Okay,
I mean, there's certain construction types that will allow something like that, but we're still in the very early stages of citing all these site elements.
the location and surface of the trails should be shown. Again, that's a condition, that's a requirement in section 22040. Is most of your road surface going to be gravel or paved or have you thought about that?
I'm guessing that initially it's gonna be gravel. As things progress, it may be able to resurface it. But I believe our intent is to have gravel initially.
For the construction,
Okay.
of course, and as soon as construction is complete, we will pave it for whatever fire EMC we need.
Okay.
EMS.
The width, I think, of that driveway is at 20 feet.
Correct.
The zoning ordinance has the width of driveways. I don't think it included 2-way with no parking. It included 1-way, included 1-way with parking on one side, or 2-way with parking on both sides. I think 20 feet is probably enough.
Yeah,
So,
I think for the use, I think it's a minimum 20 feet.
Okay. Scott, were you able to find this?
Yeah, so the first several points, but they were concerned about the location of the cabins. Tree line is missing. It's hard to know if the cabins are planned to be located in a clear area or forested area. I guess that's one of their first concerns. There'd be more clearing for the cabin. Just keep on the list here. The second house looks like it's also in a wooded location. Talked about clearing trees and impact the Barnes Gully. Providing an overlay to the existing part for the tree line, large areas that are already cleared on the parcel are pointed out. The committee would like to suggest the cabins are moved to a cleared area next to the tree line. And adding additional trees and shrubs. Skip a little bit. Again, the gully protecting the gully is a key consideration of the project, and the applicant had mentioned that as well as. Talking about trail development, connecting with Ananda. Talking about the easement for that, suggesting an easement. Kim, is there anything that I'm missing in the highlights in here?
Over, according to Don, for over half the parcel, the big is open property. And we were suggesting moving the location of the house, the proposed house, as well as the campground, someplace that's already clear, as opposed to clearing out acres of trees.
It's currently already cleared, doesn't show it on Encore, but if you go to the site, Anthony has been doing extensive clearing of successional trees and making it more kind of park-like almost, saving the good trees and then allowing those to grow up and mature. And So what you see on Encore is not a good reflection of the existing, existing conditions.
We had the DEC out and there was extensive ash, dead ash everywhere. So we've already done an enormous amount of work on the property just in the last 12 months.
Kim, do you want to scroll back to the subdivision plan? Just to, I think Logan said that showed the tree line.
Yeah.
So on that, the tree line doesn't even come on the lot two. Is that accurate?
No, the tree line is-
In the-
Well,
Here.
that was from the existing conditions that of when we first surveyed it. But that was years ago. I mean, we'd have to do based on the size of the site.
Is it trees in the middle or right here?
I mean, I can kind of show.
That is the line, but the trees are missing out.
Like kind of steep slopes. I mean, they have done some cleared, but along this ridge here. It has been cleared. There's still trees per se, but it's not, it's very open and kind of park like.
Well, certainly take whatever efforts you can do to do
Yeah,
selective.
I mean, I can get a rough idea of where the existing tree line is and then reflect that on the site plan.
You know, I mean, we have every intention of repopulating it with native species as well. That's a big part of our plans.
Kim, anything else you have concern about?
If the trees are already gone, you can inventory of some of the larger trees, so they can influence those. With the construction.
Selective, yeah. Okay.
I'd see that as being a good idea, just to show kind of what's there now and how it affects, we've cited the lodge and the future house in areas that don't currently affect the existing trees on the site. Because Anthony does want to preserve as much as possible.
All right, anything else? Any other recommendations regarding the sketch plan?
Sure, Chuck, you did mention ag, but just for clarity, is there suggesting that the larger open areas be identified and then the purposes for that? So I would take a look at the ag letter and address that really good. Something that we were discussing here is that for sightline, we believe that the sightline that would be required for a 45-mile-an-hour zone would be 500 feet. That should be verified, but if that's the case in the south, that actually sets through the house and would require quite a bit of clearing to achieve that.
Say it again, what were you referring to? The site distance?
The site.
Okay. For the proposed,
Correct.
the drive.
Yeah.
What was your response to, or your comment on the existing house?
It appears as though that's an obstruction to the sightline.
The house is off the road up on a knoll.
Sure, but you have a horizontal curve in the
Mhm.
road, so your line of sight it cuts across that curve. So I think what we asked was for you to provide us.
Yeah, site distance, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But from my experience being on site, the house is not the factor of the site distance.
Okay.
Anything else, Mark?
No, I mean, in general, I think as we look at the scope and scale of it, with the feeling that the concept buildings look very nice, but it's also the scale does question whether or not it stays at the small scale that we're proposing, or if it's something we can do larger format cabins. So it's a general observation that I would have some reservations.
Well, in granting a special use permit, should we do so, it would be specific to a plan, obviously, you know. 4 cabins, parking lot is located where it is. And if that would change at any time in the future, Anthony would have to come back or his successor and ask for a change of it, so. So we're essentially looking at analyzing for a special use permit, what we see in front of us, subject to some changes that you're gonna make between now and the final site plan review, so. Does anyone in the audience have any comments, questions, concerns regarding this application, both from a subdivision or the sketch plan? Yes, ma'am.
I'm here to address,
Excuse me, would you please?
sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm Debbie Winatovich, we live on Lawrence Road, my husband and myself, I'm
Mhm.
here to address the campground portion of this application, so I don't know if that's what you want to do now, or.
Yeah, it's part of the sketch plan review. We're not, Kathy, we're not addressing a formal action on the site plan, which includes the campsite. That would be something in the future. We're just giving it sort of back and forth between the applicant and the board.
Absolutely,
But any comments you have are certainly.
okay. My husband and I, we live, land abuts, the sun's across, the gully in Olive Park. Recently, we came into a land use agreement with the town. Where the upper meadow is a trail that is being developed by the town. Marked by the town and maintained by the town. That comes up to the back end of the easement and to the road property, okay?
Where,
In that map, I can't tell you.
you guys know? That's their problem.
Yeah, so-
Ours is right here. Oh, well.
It's the lower.
Oh, so it's.
Yeah, lower.
Okay. So with that being said, we have this land use agreement with the town and we developed that with the town for the use and enjoyment of the Ononda Park. Expanding the trail system for Ononda Park. Coming up back to the proposed campground. There's many concerns that we have as far as foot traffic and coming from the proposed campground. That again is being maintained by the town, insured by the town. And has to be marked yet by the town in order to be utilized. With the campground, again, we're looking at more traffic, different types of traffic. A lot of questions about the campground itself, okay? As to, I know it's a wellness type of campground. Is it holistic? Is it for rehab? What is this truly about as far as calling it a campground, and what is it for? Is it public? Is it members? Okay. How big are the cabins? You know, how many people in a cabin? You've answered some of our questions about regarding septic and whatnot. Noise levels, a lot of issues that looking at Ononda Park policies, if something like the proposed campground is going to be placed, those policies should be similar or followed by the Ononda Park policies, because we're introducing another campground on top of a campground, the biggest campground in the town of Canandaigua. So I think there has to be, policies in place. And dig deep into what truly is this campground in writing. And how does it affect the neighbors? The adjacent landowners, and even going further into the neighbors itself on Seneca Point Road and the trail system that goes up to McJanic Park. It affects everybody who's coming through this trail system. So I'm just asking the board to really dig deep into the campground itself. What is it all about? What does it look like? How is it going to function? With many other questions to be answered. And hoping that we can have an open conversation about this campground between the town, between the roads and ourselves and all the adjacent landowners and the community. Again, we're developing another campground on top of a campground, and we don't know much about this campground at this point.
Okay.
My concerns, my worries, along with many other neighboring people, so. Not to cause any waves, but I think we need to dig deep.
No, no,
Okay.
they're all important points, no
Okay.
doubt about it.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Can you get from Ananda to your campground? Over legal, could you? I mean, will you be able to?
Not just from our parcel.
They have the access.
But I mean, with the easements the town has acquired and.
Well, the town doesn't have, so. Yes, because the Bernatoviches have.
I guess both physically and
Go back
legally.
To the, or can you go up to the top of this screen, please?
Is that another page?
Right there. So, and I was gonna ask. So my recollection and. Again, I'm not, I think. The, Bernatovich's trail comes out right about here. That, it's in the top right corner of your property, right? Am I remembering that right? So I believe that's right about there. And I know our former town manager talked to you folks about a trail or a purchase.
Our trail's already in place.
Where's your trail?
All here and comes out. Right there. I spent 7 years on it.
Okay, and that's the one you were talking about. Working something out with Doug.
Any way we can.
That's something I'd like to see in the plan.
Yeah.
That's something that when we get to site plan development, that's something that will be shown on the plans. We haven't gotten that far
I've
yet.
actually had the town supervisor. We walked the entire trail, road, 4 wheels on
Okay,
it,
good.
show it to them. It's turnkey. Trail.
Yeah, when you.
So why don't we do this? And it's not, so you can get an approval tonight, is my recommendation. Why don't we do a condition that says the trail. That the town will have access to will be added to the plans prior to signature, which is a while before you can send. And then you and Jared and the town board and I can work out that we've got 30, 60 days to figure something out. If it doesn't work out, you can come back, we can do a quick amendment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all for complete transparency. I mean, I've got 7 years invested in the planning of the ideas, so any neighbors that would look, any information they want, I'm an open book, just ask specific questions, don't get very specific answers to those questions. Again, we're not trying to exploit property, just trying to share it.
Well, again, I would recommend you look at the cloud permit.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
My wife
Those
didn't see
email-
'em. We're on it. We didn't see any questions at all.
Well, they came in the last 3 days.
Yeah, well,
It's typical.
yeah, they're on the PRC
They're on
comments.
circle neighbor letter.
Yeah, it's under.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's. Excuse me, okay, one other person, before I forget, yeah, look at those neighbor letters.
Yeah.
This might be one of the neighbors that wrote an email. I know that consensus was a problem with people getting lost in the park and wandering up into the property.
Maybe now.
I know the Monies said that people coming up to their house that had gotten lost. So I guess that's a concern they have and maybe a concern you have.
Yes, my name is Mindy Lockwood. I live at 4721 Seneca Point.
Sure, we got your email.
All right, and my biggest concern is the campground and who's gonna be monitoring 24/7 that people do not come over and trespass. Because we constantly get people from Camp Ananda. We also have a parcel across 21 that abuts to the new land trust. Where people are walking through, walking their dogs. Nobody's monitoring that either. So therefore, our property is a free for all for whoever wants to come through. So if this campground, I would, would like to see who's monitoring 24/7, a phone number of who to call, who's gonna be policing it, when they're gonna be policing it. Because obviously Camp Ananda does not do a well enough job of policing theirs. So that's my biggest concern.
Thank
I
you.
also have livestock. I want to make sure that nobody from a campground is going to come over and mess with my livestock. We have people from the Airbnb that's currently there that are constantly coming up to the fences, trying to pet the livestock. We have to ask them to walk away. I've had to put up signs that said, do not feed the animals. That's another thing I
I'm
need.
sorry, Manny, first I've heard that.
Well,
If Carlton's never called me ever.
yeah, no, that's
Okay.
my issue, maybe not
Let's talk
his,
to the
so-
board, don't talk to each other, please.
Yeah.
I'm not here much.
Yeah,
Those
okay.
are my concerns.
All right. Anthony, I could see that your statement of operations for the special use permit is going to be very detailed.
Oh, absolutely.
We asked it, all the questions you're hearing from neighbors, from the board, I think that should all be in a narrative form in the statement of operations. And that's something we would look forward to in reviewing the SUP.
I would totally expect that.
Well, and one comment, which I guess you didn't see, but it kind of struck me. Somebody raised the concern of drum circles, which. But I mean, my guess is your distance and your
Yeah, it's not,
topography can block that, so you may want to look into.
that was 3 years ago. That's when we had 10 cabins. We've obviously modified things since.
Sure, but
One of the neighbors misinterpreted drum circles for drug circles. Mr. Imagine, and I addressed that. That's no longer in our plans, and we will even put that in our operating procedures for no drug circles. Noise ordinance.
But you may be able to just show with distances.
It's 1,700 feet. It's 1,700 feet from the road. You know, so then there's trees between it, so you really can't see much.
Anyone virtual land like to address the board regarding this application? I heard you mention the word night, I thought maybe no, maybe just observing, participating, that's fine. Okay, so did you get some help from us tonight? Hopefully
Very helpful.
Now, next question, board, is do we want to act on the subdivision? Is there any issue why we couldn't move ahead with, you go back to the subdivision plan, create a 3-lot subdivision, subject to whatever conditions we come up with. I know we talked about some of them.
I see no issues. You know, I don't particularly like the fact that it's served by one driver. I don't like it, but currently we can, so we can, so.
Well, and as long as we tie it down with meets and bounds and
Yeah.
easement documents, I mean, we've done that before. And that's something that is a condition, I think it was in the MLB review, or somewhere I saw it, and if it's not there, Chris is gonna certainly want to include it, so. Anybody else have a problem?
Yeah, I have a problem with subdivision and creation of lots when we don't know that the site distance can be achieved. It's a matter of public safety.
So I don't disagree with that at all. You can condition signature on the plan. Well, let's take a step back. So you're granting a condition, so what you do is grant conditional approvals. And then the applicant has a certain number of days, 180 days, within which to satisfy all the conditions. Sometimes that's just add notes to the plan. Sometimes that's get approval from state agencies and county agencies. And then and for subdivision, once all those conditions are met and verified by Lance and town staff, Chuck comes and puts a signature on the plan. And then the applicant takes that plan to the county clerk's office. But so they aren't actually created until all the conditions are satisfied and Chuck signs the plan. That being said, it's perfectly legitimate to want to see that before you can consider granting conditional.
May I ask the question though, isn't it a pre-existing non-conforming then, if you're already accessing that driveway today for that one house already today? So
It
that-
very well
that
may be.
Situation already occurs today.
Well, It might, I don't know, it might be perfectly fine site distances, but what you're doing, the situation already exists, but you're adding. Traffic to it, so every time you create a lot, you start essentially from scratch.
May I ask Anthony, if this subdivision, you show the site distances and you address the subdivision plan up, could that be handled concurrently with the site plan? I mean, is there any reason you need the subdivision to have the lots created post haste, or is it something that could be done concurrently with the site plan?
Question for my engineer or me?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. First step is obviously subdivision to even consider additional uses. So that's what we're establishing now. And getting your feedback so we can know whether or not it's pertinent to move forward or not. So that's kind of where we stand on that. He wants to have this parcel subdivided so he can have multiple uses. He wants to build a house in the future. He can't have it any other way. So whether or not you have used this third parcel for a campground or not, he can't have a second home on that without having a subdivision like this.
No, understood, yeah, no, I realize that, but, and you can't go ahead with the campground proposal until you.
Yeah, I mean,
Have the subdivision, but. Are they, can they be run concurrently, I guess, you would say? I mean, hearing what you heard tonight, that there didn't seem to be a lot of issues with the subdivision.
Right.
Except this concern about the site distance, if that could be confirmed.
Well, there's some underlying factors that kind of make it so we'd like to do the subdivision first and not have them go side by side.
Okay, so you wanna take your chances?
I mean, it's up to Anthony, it's up to Anthony
I would
whether or
like
not
to move forward with subdivision and then, hopefully get the cooperation in the future for furthering the development. Ultimately, lot 2 is our personal home, to build our personal home. I would love to see the rest of it come to fruition. But if it doesn't, we still want to build a second home on that lot.
Okay. Well, then it's, I guess, up to the board. How do we want to move on this? Do we want to proceed with the motion on the seeker and the subdivision?
Well, it's up to Anthony, like, do you want to move forward and have them vote on this tonight, or do you want to revise plans to do something else?
They can vote on the
Do we have
subdivision.
time, can we think about it and discuss it?
Yes, we could table it and have
So
time
we
to
have
just,
to have a pressure decision right now?
Meet tonight,
yeah, I mean,
come back to it,
I mean,
or do you want to continue it to the next meeting?
potentially continue it to the next
All right.
meeting so we can get a little bit of clarity on what's happening, so it's not,
And you can show us what that site distance is and
Yes.
answer any other questions.
yes.
You may have had.
So that's their main issue right now with the subdivision is the site.
Site distance.
I think that's all I'm hearing.
The
So
driveway
you could
is out.
consider a condition that says site distance is acceptable to the town engineer. Shall be submitted to the town prior to signatures. But. It's not something you have to.
I would feel more comfortable with the board actually seeing the site distances and saying, okay, they're good, they're bad.
I don't think any clearing would be,
Maybe driveway would have to be moved. So let's, I think I heard-
That shows an embankment, shows lots of mature trees across the inside of that curve. Also clarity of exactly where's the proposed driveway for all the lots are. Because currently, I think one of the main driveways extends in the right of way, but beyond the.
right, and so the site plan as of right now, that will be abandoned, and it'll be one access point.
And is that the paved access point that extends further to the north, the northern property line?
Well, initially, the first part of the entrance will have to be paved based on town requirements. After that, there will be a gravel drive based on the use that's going to be happening in succession.
All right, let's, not to prolong it, I think I heard a concession or a request by the applicant to, they're willing to continue to our meeting in February, which I think is the 13th.
We can make the decision now, I mean, it's up.
I just wanted to ask my.
Well,
No,
Yeah.
we're not,
board's not
unless we all
interested.
drive out
Are
and
you
take a
guys
look at
ready
the
to make a
driveway. I
decision,
don't think-
or-
They're not. They want to see the site distance.
I think our homework will be to go out and take a look at the site distance ourselves. The engineer to do a bona fide measurement of the site distance in conformity with traffic engineering standards, and we all reconvene here in 2 weeks.
Okay, please keep mindful if you are gonna visit, especially the gentlemen, that pole barn right here can easily be taken down if we push everything further to the north. If we needed another 40, 50, 60 feet.
It's, in other words, from, I believe it's 12, is it worth 15 feet back from the edge of the road, where a car would be waiting to exit, they need to be able to see left 500 feet.
Okay.
And that line of sight is gonna cut across that curve, the inside of that curve. And there's a lot of mature trees there. And then there's actually, I believe there's an embankment as well.
Yeah, we have.
500 feet's a long ways.
Yeah, we have about 350, 400 feet right now. I'm certain of that.
And when you draw a line on Encore, it appears as though the house may be an obstruction to that line of sight. So.
I think it's more the hill down than the in-law suite for sure. But yeah, if it's 500 feet, we're gonna be in trouble. If it's 500 feet, there's no doubt.
Well, at a minimum, there'd be a lot of tree clearing. That would.
Yeah, it's not so much trees there. We've already taken care of that hill. Most of that hill, it's the road from the south comes uphill.
It's the embankment.
And it turns. So it's more of the embankment. It's about 350 feet clear sight. So I don't know.
You'd be able to.
I don't even know if we
You
can
own the
gain.
property, correct?
Yes, yes.
So you could take the embankment back.
Yeah, we could. We've already done a lot of that to put in the ag road. We've cleared that hill right there and cleaned it up significantly.
Okay, Logan will give you guys a little rundown of the actual distances and what stands in the way of getting them where they need to be.
Yeah, and I think board members should go out and take a look at ourselves. All right, do I have a motion to continue?
I'll move to continue.
CPN
23. 092 and 097.
When do we adjourn?
Excuse me, get a motion? Yes, you made a motion, do I have a second?
To February 13th, is that what we're saying?
Can we confirm?
I think it's 13th.
When we
13th.
need the revisions back in order to meet on the 13th. Can we make sure and then make sure that that
I think
works
it's
with
2 weeks
the applicant?
before, right?
Okay, discussion. Anthony, what do you have to say quick?
I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
2 weeks comes up so quickly.
Yeah, is there a way that we should proceed in addressing neighbors' concerns, or that should be?
That's all gonna go into your site plan. I think
Okay.
most of those concerns have to do with
Okay.
the operation of the cabins,
That'll be addressed when we move forward after we get the subdivision done.
I got a motion, a second to continue to the 13th. The subdivision, and, well, the sketch plan we're done with, because we've, sort of talked that. Out.
Answered Amanda's question though,
It's
for timing.
So then we would need it 2 weeks before the meeting, which is a week from today, the 30th, since there's an extra week in between our meetings. We would need an updated site plan in order to meet on the 13th by.
You're gonna have to start putting meets and bounds on those. that
We
easement.
do have meets and bounds on the subplat.
Oh, okay. Well, shoot you on the subdivision plan.
I don't know if you can read it, but I believe they're on there.
The echelons, but okay,
All right.
just make sure they're on there.
I mean, the plan I have here. has
13th and then continuing again to the next.
Easement, for this easement.
Oh, I thought you meant for.
The easement, that's what easement, yes, the easement,
Okay.
yep.
That's fine.
Okay, so you can work on that.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I had a motion, a second. Do you understand? We need these correction, updated subdivision plan by. Right. Okay. All right, all in favor of the continuation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Okay, folks, we'll see you in. Thank you.
I still have another one for that. You want home? No, I can come on.
Okay, moving on. Nobody left. Okay, we have Greg McMahon representing Derek Tillman on our property at 5755 Smith Road. And Mr. Tillman would like to construct a 2,916 square foot, 18-foot tall accessory building, well, and a driveway with 3 parking spaces to be used for his dog training facility on the 6.5 acres with an existing single-family dwelling, a well, a wastewater treatment plant, and Mr. Tillman is here for site plan and special use. Yeah, okay. Very good. Gentlemen,
All right,
how's it, everyone?
great, good.
Okay, the floor is yours. I'll open the hearing, excuse me.
All right, as you mentioned, Greg McMahon from McMahon LaRue and the owner and applicant Derek Tillman. Proposing a auxiliary structure on property at 5755 Smith Road. Requiring a site plan approval and a special use permit for a home occupation. We did appear last Tuesday before the zoning board of appeals and received 2 variances that were required for us to proceed. And as you can see, the site plan is a rectangular barn structure with a driveway off of Smith Road and 3 parking spots. I think issues and questions regarding what the facility is going to be used for can be addressed. Any questions you have to Derek? But it's a fairly straightforward site plan. They do want to have a toilet and sink in the building. And to accommodate that, it's going to drill a separate well. And due to the very low volumes generated by this, we're proposing to pump it back up to the existing septic system, which we've determined there's no capacity issues with regard. There is landscaping proposed in accordance with the code. We've got some stormwater mitigation for the roof drains, some of the parking areas shown. And this did go before some of your other boards.
So that house was built not too long ago.
About 3 years ago.
3 years, yeah. Remember. So I assume the septic system was sized at or beyond capacity of the house.
Yes.
Has, I guess, at some point, Tyler or somebody just will have to confirm that, the septic system, and since it's a new system, it shouldn't be hard to find the plans, that it can handle the additional flow. Have you looked at Tyler at all?
No.
You probably have an idea what your flow will be.
Yeah, we're
Minimal,
talking,
but
we're talking, 15, 20 gallons a day.
Yeah,
So-
maybe like 2 or 3 flushes like a day, maybe.
So, yeah, we can certainly, I can give Tyler a call and discuss it between them.
Okay.
It's not an issue.
That's covered somewhere.
Can you repeat your variances you got? I couldn't hear.
It was, one was a auxiliary structure with a waste system. We had facilities in the structure. And the second was for a structure in the front yard.
And the fact is that this is a corner lot, Smith Road and Route 21. And although it's in the side yard of the house, it's in the front yard with respect to Route 21. But that we did receive the variance for that and the variance for the sanitary facilities in the building.
Do they have to get one for a separate driveway? Additional driveway on this one
They
lot
can have a driveway for each use,
for each one?
for each use.
Couldn't find that code at all.
Well, or is it second driveway interpreted to be agricultural? Dog training agricultural? I don't, I wouldn't think so.
But could I have a driveway to my shed? Instead of, but.
I couldn't see it in the code. I tried to find it.
You're confident that they can have a driveway for each use?
We did look into it, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna-
Your parking lot, is that just for 3 sites, 3 cars?
3 cars.
Do they have to have handicap marked spot? And it's probably gravel, right?
Yes.
Paved to the
Might
right
be-
of way.
Might be
and
There's nothing in the special use permit says that they need to have a handicap parking space. It just says they do not create a need for more than 3 additional off-street parking spaces.
Okay, so they have 3.
Mhm.
You said your statement of ops, you're gonna only have 1 at a time at your dog training?
I prefer to have just one at a time because each lesson would be 1 hour with one client who has 1 dog, so.
No boarding.
No,
But you did say possible in your statement of operations, like long-term stays for training, like 2-3 weeks.
yes, that would be like in the future if that was something.
Maybe
So there is
wording, but would
potential.
be
B to 220 to.
Yeah, it would be one. Yeah, it wouldn't be multiple.
Not a kennel, training.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But the board, I don't believe the boarding was going to be in this structure.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
No.
No,
Each separate, it's
there's no boarding in this structure and no grooming
Yeah.
in this structure.
Thank you.
So for the long-term stays, then would the dog be in your home? Or would the dog be in the facility?
Well, that's what I'd be asking you. I mean, would it be? If I had a kennel in the actual facility, does that change anything? I mean, if I just had 1 dog that was there. I mean, this is not something that I'm doing right now. I was just asking in the future.
Well, Mr. Tillman, whatever your statement of operations states, your special use permit will be based on that.
Yeah.
If you change anything in the future,
You gotta come back in.
yeah, you have to come back and
Amended.
get your special
Okay.
use permit amended.
Hmm.
So. You know,
I don't have the
if-
statement in front of me, so I don't remember what was.
I think you had said 1 dog,
Yeah.
I think you said overnight, maybe 1 night or something like that.
Possible
It was-
boarding.
There is contradictions in it where
Right.
in some places it said, in other places it didn't, but
So anything different than what you say would have to, you have to come back to see us, so. Assuming that that's what you want to go with,
What, you talking about the private lessons?
Okay.
talking about the boarding,
The statement.
the
of
long-term
operations.
training
Okay.
days.
The statement is, in addition to private lessons, another option would be a board and train scenario where the dog would stay in the facility.
Yes,
4 by
right there.
4,
Sorry, I was
staying in the
confused.
3 to 4 weeks.
So that kennel would be in that actual facility and just a room for that.
And the one I'm looking at says if the client chooses a board and train, the dog will stay in my home
Yeah, no,
with me where I train them for 3 or 4 weeks.
No, it would be in the facility, sorry.
Operation on this one, is there a date? This is the final, there's a few.
Noted as.
Some of them, yeah, some of them are
Okay,
superseded.
this one does say
There were
superseded on
Yeah.
November
let's say-
13th.
What is
But what I have on the screen is this.
okay,
It's from final signed business plan.
would you mind popping that out? Kim, sorry, and that's the final one.
Wait, this is,
Final signed, right? Yes, it says final signed in the description.
And is there, could you scroll, Kim, and is there a date on that? Okay, 11/13/23.
Yeah.
So what we approve is based on what's listed in the statement of operations, so. As I understand, right now, the intent is, 1 hour, 2 hour
Mhm.
trainings. Future plans potentially for the long-term training plus boarding.
Yeah, but the boarding would be more of like it says right there, just you have one kind of with one dog where they would be there for 2, 3,
Right.
4 weeks.
One panel inside of it. So
I don't know if we want to have things like another option. It's either it is or it
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
When I say another option, I meant more for like a client that would want that option.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
As like a package for them, not
It's
like,
not your option to
yeah,
grow the business. It's their option if they want.
yes.
Okay, let's see, statement of operations.
So just to be clear, this one says the dog would stay in a kennel in the pole barn.
In the pole barn, yes.
Okay, the Ag Committee said there was no loss of ag lands, so took care of that. The County Planning Board was concerned whether the septic system was adequate, existing septic system. They were concerned about lighting, any outside exterior lighting involved?
I believe it would just be in front, like in the main doorway.
No overhead spotlights.
No, nothing out. And you're gonna talk to Tyler, Greg?
Yes, I will.
Okay, laying on the barn, structure plans. Did you have elevation of the barn itself? Were they submitted? I don't think I can see them. What the barn would, is it a regular pole barn or is it a?
Yeah,
Steel frame building or?
It would just be a pole frame.
I think there were, if I recall that there were some plans provided by your builder that were part of the submittal.
Yeah.
Actually might be in the building permit application.
Probably in the building
Yes.
permit application.
Okay, well. I'm sure the building inspector or the code enforcement officer will look at that. I'm not too worried about the aesthetics of the barn. Statement of operations, MRB. You had a letter from the 19th. Anything of significance there, Matt? I don't think so.
No.
Okay. The ECB and, oh, there's. ECB would talked about possibly for your stormwater control, having rain gardens. Do you have any type of stormwater control?
We have a rain garden.
There's a rain garden. Okay. You're concerned they didn't have them or they
No.
weren't big enough?
We didn't take that.
Oh, okay. Rain garden maintenance. Maintenance, okay. That the applicant, Mr. Tillman, knows what's involved in maintaining rain gardens. Okay, you just don't put them out there and let them go. You
right.
gotta keep them clean.
Yep.
Anything else for you? Quick. All right. Well, we've got two issues to look at here. We have the site plan and the special use permit. And so, is anyone in the audience want to address the board regarding Mr. Tillman's application on Smith Road? If not, I will close the public hearing and we will move on to the seeker, which is type 2, and the site plan. Initially, I will make a motion that we approve a seeker action as a type 2, which means we have no further review under seeker regulations, as well as a single stage site plan approval for 5755 Smith Road. For a single stage site plan. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, the conditions, do we add anything to this, Matt?
The septic,
Oh, testing adequacy of the septic system.
Chuck, I think that there might be a typographical error on your proposed contours. I think you're 100 feet off.
Oh, only 100?
Your existing contours are 1180 something, and your proposed contours are 1080 something.
I'll double check.
Yeah.
That'll fall under the engineer's review, and then I think your septic is covered by site plan condition number 7.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. I think we've got everything buttoned up. Okay, I'll take I have a motion. I had a second, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a motion, a second on the site plan, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's move on to the special use permit. Is this one you want to go over?
Lance and I talked about it, and I'm sort of reconsidering, Chuck. Lance prepared findings for you on the last page of your package, but I think adequately covered.
Okay, would the board members please look at number 13 on the findings, see if there's anything there they object to regarding noise, pedestrian traffic, vehicular traffic, parking, lighting, aesthetics, trash, exterior display related to this major home occupation. Trash, I think you had said you're going to include the trash with your regular home.
Yeah, I don't think there would be that much waste where I would need to have another, bin.
There's gonna be a sign or anything,
I'm sorry, what?
a sign, there's gonna be any type of sign,
Oh, on the actual building?
signage or any type of.
I don't have anything planned for that yet.
You're testifying there's no signage, so that'll be to that effect then.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone have a problem with anything in number 13? If not, we feel they meet the compliance of the special use permit regarding a major home occupation. All right, I'm ready for a motion on the special use permit.
I'll move to accept the special use permit, 5755 Smith Road. For a dog training area.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion is second. The use will go with the property. Okay, Mr. Tillman moves out. Mr. Smith moves in, he can still have it in accordance with the statement of operations you provided. So anything that would change either by you or by a subsequent owner and have to come back to us. So, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you. Appreciate it.
Okay. We've got another hearing for a sign real quick. This one is for property at 1947 State Route 332. Special use permit for a commercial speech line in the CC zoning district. This is the property that it's got the equipment sales
Silo,
with the silo.
beautiful buildings.
I see historic sign and restoration. You're the man, right? You're
muted.
Hang on, we gotta mute you.
Sorry about
Okay.
that.
All right, your name and address, sir.
Hi, Ian McDonald. I'm with Historic Sign and Restoration. I'm the sign fabricator for Brian Caffalone and Iron Man Equipment.
All right, tell us a little about your sign. We'll put it up on the board here.
Okay, so this is a traditional style sign. It's fabricated from 2-inch thick old growth redwood. The lettering, the main copy is carved and recessed into the 2-inch redwood. It's gilded in silver leaf. It's hand painted outline and drop shadow on it. And then on the secondary copy, that is hand lettered also. There's a routed border around the shape of it that you see. And then the equipment shovel that is on the top is actually cut out of 1/2-inch PVC, and then it's stud mounted on there and raised off the surface. So you've got recessed copy for the word Iron Man. You've got a dimensional piece for the shovel arm, and you've got hand lettering for the secondary copy. The structure that supports the sign is fabricated from twin 4x6 larch posts, all hand milled and planed. They're pegged together. They've got decorative black hardware on there. They're not functional, they're for looks. It's actually cool. It's 1/2-inch thick black PVC. The structure going across the top has twin 2x10 vertically placed and cut on the ends structural pieces with wood reinforcements, 2x10 reinforcements between them. Now the sign will hang from that top braced piece with some custom made steel hangers that we built that go down over the top of the 2-inch thick redwood, and there's a 5/8 bolt that goes through it. All kind of antique looking black hardware, real nice. And then to top it off, on the top cross member there, I have the address cut out a 1/2-inch white PVC, and that's raised off the surface on both sides of that cross member. And then the whole piece is in the ground, and the twin 4x6s are set in cement.
Okay. Super. Very, very detailed description. Thank you. Nice sign. There was also a site plan, I believe, that shows the location of the sign on the site. There it is.
That's correct.
The only thing there was, it would have been nice if you used the site plan for the project rather than just showing the existing, or what was the existing before the structure was built. So we could see the relation to the driveway, the buildings. If that's something that could be done, that would be appreciated. I think it would be much more helpful and probably meet the standards of our site plan for a special use permit.
So you're saying get a more zoomed in view of the sign in its location?
Well, or use the Venezia plan that showed the actual location of the buildings, the driveway, all the improvements that were done as part of the project.
We, okay, so that is a Venezia plan. It was a little difficult to get. And, but that is the full one. I could have, I mean, I wanted to include the entire drawing so you could see it in relation, but because, seeing it on a computer screen, 8.5 by 11, you really don't see the detail that is there. So if you'd like I said, I could give you a zoomed in site plan view of that 100-foot by 100-foot square area where the sign is and the driveway is and the lot line and the setback.
I think what you're looking for is the signed site plan with the buildings on it, correct?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
you're
do
looking
the
for.
sign.
So there is a drawing that exists that has the buildings, the driveway and everything on it. That it's asking that you add it to that instead of just the topo that we're seeing here.
And the posts are already in, right?
They are.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be able to get that from the applicant or the owner. I mean, the plans are his, the Venezia plans. So just ask the copy where you could impose the location of the sign. So we see in relationship to the driveway, the buildings, where that X will be located. I think that would be more appropriate for the board than just showing a sign out in the middle of a field.
Sure, makes sense. I can do that. I know Brian doesn't have that drawing. I had to get that from Venezia. But I'm guessing they've got a more detailed view of that. So I'll reach out to them in the morning and see what has to be done to get our hands on that.
I got two questions for you.
Okay,
The street sign numbers, how big are they? How tall are they?
they're 8 inches.
Thank you. That meets code. Next, is there any lighting on it?
No lighting
Thank you.
currently. Don't know if any is planned, frankly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else regarding this application? Anybody in the audience want to address the board regarding the sign? As was mentioned here among the board, they did a very nice job on the project. And the sign is well in style with the rest of the development out there. So we have a seeker resolution for the sign. We have a seeker, we have a site plan, which we're gonna get amended, and we're gonna have a special use permit. So let's do type 2 seeker and the site plan. Someone want to make a motion regarding?
I move to accept the secret type 2 and the single stage site plan approval. And what do we have for conditions?
Okay.
We have
And we want to amend numbers 2 to note showing the built structures or something to that nature, to say location on the site plan with the structures that were
Are you getting that, Matt?
built.
So just
In other words-
a separate condition or amending the second condition?
Either or.
No, I think it's
Separate?
Yeah.
Okay.
showing the building.
I was trying to read too quickly. Yeah, so 3.
Number 3. So with 3
Yeah.
conditions.
Third being using the approved site. Okay, a motion a second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, moving on to the special use permit.
Can you remind me why we do a special use permit for signage?
It's in the CC district and it's on the state highway.
Or why is it considered a special use on the sign?
It's like the Dollar Tree was a special use, you know, it's bigger and longer than you and I have been around.
It's standard. It's in the code.
It's in the code.
Must have a special use permit for a sign on those conditions. Got it. That's how I've done determined, but I just looking for some further education.
We used to do all sorts. Okay, we whittled it down to just CC.
I don't mind approving the sign, I'm just wondering why it's expected.
Okay, so do I have a motion? Oh, special use permit?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to, for the special use permit approval for 23132. The sign at 1947 State Route 332.
I'll second. Okay. For discussion, if not, the conditions, what we want, I think they are. Gonna need to go through the environmental concerns. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you, sir, for waiting.
Thanks very much, everybody. Take care.
Okay, good night. All right. Next. That is the last of our public hearings. We move on to site plans. On the agenda is a site plan from Evan Gilbert. For the much familiar 2625 County Route 22. Canandaigua. Gentlemen, I think we might be premature in acting on this tonight because we haven't heard from the town board. And I'll ask our zoning officer to explain where we stand.
So that's why we were put on the agenda, because you heard from the town and it was approved, but I could be wrong.
I need to check this.
Okay, all right, stand by. Yeah, because it went from our giving preliminary approval.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it went back to the town board.
Yeah.
And I understand they had to schedule a hearing to change the zoning
Right.
to the MUO.
Right.
That hearing had not been scheduled yet. And then once they had the hearing, and assuming they change it to the MUO, it was back to us for final.
That's why I was surprised at why we were on the agenda, because we obviously have to wait for the approval of the town board and the,
Glad you understand that.
yeah.
Okay,
So that's why I thought maybe you guys heard something, the town heard something, and that's why we were on the agenda for tonight. So.
this is Mr. Gilbert and you know the other fellow.
Yeah.
This is regarding Mr. Gilbert's request to build a sports facility out on County Route 22. Which was a change of zoning to MUO.
So I left.
Yeah.
He said, oh, it's on the agenda, I better get out of here. So tell us where we stand with the town board regarding this application, if you can.
Yes, I sure can. Hey, let me, I believe.
Mr. Gilbert got preliminary site plan approval from us.
Yeah. Which bounces them back to the town boards. For a local law to. Rezone the property.
And you,
And tell me the address here that we're talking about.
2625 Anna Road.
Which is on a sticky note on my desk to prepare said local law. By tomorrow to get it on the town board agenda for the 31st of January.
So
Right,
we
is
were,
that your plan?
well, we thought,
It might be the.
we were just confused why we were even on this agenda. We thought maybe you guys heard something that we didn't, that it was approved. That's the only reason why we would be.
You thought this might be a surprise party for you?
Yeah, hey, we love your project.
The town board pet and secret, and, no, I'm sorry,
All right.
it will be up. On the January, the last day of January meeting, Wednesday, week from tomorrow. On the town board, my understanding is that unless you've heard something different from staff, there's no reason for you to, attend, maybe we'll dial in if you want, it's your option, you're welcome to show up and,
Sure.
but
I apologize for having you come up tonight.
But I don't believe the town board's already heard about the project, right? And so this is a bounce back, not a presentation. I don't believe there's a presentation scheduled. Someone will contact you and your name will be present if they expect you to be there, but Okay, you're not expected.
So Chris, the 31st, are they will schedule the hearing or conduct it?
They will schedule the hearing.
To occur in February. Town
So the 31st would be there.
schedule the,
Future time would be back here.
right, so then the town board will have a hearing sometime in February.
Yes,
Oh.
it'll set a public hearing. In first, yes,
The public hearing occurs in February.
yes,
Okay.
within yes.
So.
Then it'll, once, assuming they approve the zoning change, then it
Right.
goes back to
Then it
us.
comes back here. That's why we're surprised
In
around the
the
agenda.
meantime, Logan, I'm sure you're working on any of the conditions that were part of the preliminary approval.
Yeah, I
So they were all buttoned up in the file.
I thought we had addressed all of those. Did we not?
I haven't had reason to look at it because I looked at it. I mean, I can tell you, I mean, I didn't see an easement. We asked for an easement
Yeah.
for sidewalks. That wasn't there.
And then
And the dumpster location wasn't there.
statement of operations, landscaping,
Okay, well,
buffer, signage, septic.
You have a couple of weeks.
Blah, blah, blah.
We have landscaping.
Well, I mean, we can't do anything about it
Oh, yeah,
tonight, so.
obviously.
it's-
Yeah, I thought we had addressed all the,
I haven't seen anything in Cloud's permit, because I was like, why are we meet,
yeah, well, we were
So-
very
Okay.
surprised that we were on the agenda tonight, so.
So we'll see you hopefully sometime in February.
Great.
The Final, and sorry to keep you waiting. Sure it was. Blame on Chris too.
What's that?
Blame on Chris too.
Blame it on me?
You know, Chris Tier, my son-in-law lives next.
Oh.
Okay. Sending the crowd out. Next, we got Elizabeth Brunner, First Lochner Incorporated, 2640 Brickyard Road, on her property at 5560 Airport Road. And we're gonna make some sausage with the installation of these sidewalks along the northwest sides of the building. Installation of a generator, transformer, utility upgrades. Required variances, which the applicant received at the ZBA meeting on the 16th. So you're ready to come to us, Pete, right?
Yeah, so I'm Peter Gorman, Marathon Engineering in Rochester. As you said, we're here for Artisan 5560 Airport Road. Project is on the north side of Airport Road in Zone LI. They're limited industrial. The parcel is 6.5 acres in site. The immediate neighbor to the southwest who probably have the most concern for this project is Sandman, Sandblasting and Coatings. The building was recently purchased and is being converted into a meat processing facility to expand the production for Artisan Meats. The site portion of the project is relatively straightforward. We're adding a sidewalk along the north and west faces of the building. This sidewalk is required as a life and safety requirement as an emergency egress path. The sidewalk will disturb over 1,000 square feet, which is why we're here in front of the planning board. As you said, it required a variance from the plan or zoning board, which we received last week for being within the side setback. The other portion of the project is the installation of electrical equipment. We're proposing a new generator and transformer. The west side of the building already acts as a bit of a utility corridor with existing HVAC equipment and the sanitary facilities located down that side. The generator and transformer are both proximate to the existing electrical pole that's there, which is the power delivery point for the site. And also the interior electrical equipment is also located on the west side of the building. So it kind of makes sense for where the new proposed equipment to go in this general area. The equipment also needed 2 variances for proximity to the side setback, which we again received last week. The generator is for emergency power only, so this will not be constantly running. It will be needed to be exercised or tested once a month for approximately 1 hour. We will be scheduling that during regular business hours. It's a natural gas generator, so it's a little bit quieter than your traditional large diesel generators. It will be enclosed in a sound attenuating enclosure. It's generally the bit of a recap of the project. So, got any questions?
No. I looked at it. It's terribly confusing to figure out how your legal access to that, it's off of airport, right? But you're crossing the neighbor's property. I'm sure all the
So-
easements and all the
Yeah,
access.
we have an access
in
directly
place.
south to Airport Road as well. We will be installing a perimeter fence, which is being covered under a work permit application, so not part of this planning board approval. So there is access directly from Airport Road to the south.
Across neighbor's property.
No,
Oh, no, it's right.
no, there's a connection. If you scroll up just a little bit from here, we got a driveway right through here into this.
That property to the bottom, is that yours?
It's not, it's a stormwater management facility and even still, this was recently subdivided. I believe that's what that.
Yep. Okay. Well, somehow you get in and out of your. You wanna see it right here? Yeah, I see it, yeah, I've been out there, but I was trying to figure out legally, it looks like it crosses this property. Oh, it
crosses
that property.
It kind of loops, there's a
normal.
connection off Brickyard and Airport. But the primary access will be off Airport.
Okay, well, I'm sure if there's an issue, they would have told you by now that get off my property. Okay, so the ZBA acted on it last week. You did show the size of the, I know they had a question, the size of the generator. And the the generator and the transformer. And I think that's in the flood permit, so.
Yeah, the size of the
Standard size, I think there was concern about.
Conditions plate right there, so the next page.
They were yeah, there's a little concern about the noise the generator would set off, and as you said, it's a sandblasting operation.
Correct.
So that would make a little more noise. The Ag Committee said there was no effect on the on agriculture as all of this application. ECB had mentioned something about the roof solar panels and landscaping. Have you done any landscaping above and beyond what's there now? Are you removing any landscaping to put the sidewalk in?
We are not, it's going over a grass area.
It's all over grass. And the tree, there's trees out in front there toward airport.
Yeah, we're not disturbing any of that. We're not removing any vegetation.
Okay.
in this project.
I remember correctly, that sandblasting company came to us and they had to fix this area right here. Because they took it down or something, there was an issue with that land. Someone's there before they did a way drive, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the one, yeah.
Yep. Okay,
The town owns this parcel. That parcel's owned in the town. Oh, that he drives back.
you can sink it all. All right, board. Anything? Do we, you have a little bit of frontage on Brickyard, right?
Correct.
Yes. We've been trying to establish a right of way for sidewalks. along
Yeah, we are
Brickyard.
showing an easement.
Oh, you are showing it? Okay.
Well, actually, no, we're showing an easement for the new trail. There was a trail that we were.
It's
asking
a
to provide easement.
generic easement to favor the town. We're not sure.
Yeah,
how-
so we are
how-
showing it, so we'll get that filed.
And I don't see a reason to buy anything along airport. Because I think we requested an easement for the landscape. Guy across the street.
Oh, he was way over here.
Yeah, but he comes all the way.
Yeah, but his land. Right. Up here, that's where the landscaper was. Up in
Okay, I
here.
guess he ended up this curve. Okay, I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what it means. Okay. Anyone in the audience? Concerns about this application, want to address the board? If not, let's move on. We've got a seeker resolution type 2. Someone wants to take that with a site plan approval. which also shows a condition for a 20-foot access easement, which is always shown. Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept site two or CPN 23-130 and a single stage site plan approval with like just very three conditions, right? We did the end of the.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we need three, if it's already shown.
Three.
It's not on their map. Not on their site. You need.
You said there was a easement shown for, on Brickyard for the trail.
The condition.
We not have shown up on the.
Okay,
We'll make sure.
we
that's
leave
on there.
condition 3 in. Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, got a motion and a second, in favor? Aye. Oh, you have something to?
No, we're just chumming it up over here.
You're saying.
Just getting punched, yeah.
How fast can we get out of here?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Pete, for hanging on. All right, now we've got, familiar visitor. We got Sal representing, 3535 State Route 364. You've got a 90-day extension that expires today.
Tomorrow, I think.
23rd.
23rd, okay.
Because it's 23rd.
23rd, which was today.
Skin of your teeth. Applicant requesting a second 90-day. Okay, what's happening out there?
Yeah, so last I was in here, I think it was November, the timing, they ended up postponing us. So it was only like 60 days since the last time I was in here. But the extension got backdated to when it originally expired. So that's why it seems like you just saw me, but. So back when I was here in November, I think we were only waiting on two things, DOT and county health department for the sewer. Since that time, we got the DOT sign off back, so that's been addressed. There really was there's hardly any movement during December and all the holidays and whatnot. So we're still waiting on the county health department for the sewer. And I think the conversations there, the latest is Brennan is responding to some comments from Jack Braun. He had met with Jim Fletcher, going over some, design aspects, some stuff that's over my pay grade, but I know that we're still moving forward with that. Did have some, we really haven't been working on the site for the past few months other than addressing the stormwater concerns. I know there's been some, Mike Murphy was out there and issued a stop work order. And then DEC came out and they found that the water leaving the site was clean. But they wanted us to stabilize the site. And I don't know if you guys have been out there lately, but the only thing that's been going on for the past couple of months is just blowing straw down, getting the retention basins, sized up.
Mm-hmm.
And, now we are in the process of reevaluating the SWIP with MRB, working closely with Kevin Mulvaney, Jim Fletcher, just to make sure. I think when the initial modeling was done, and MRB, reviewed it and signed off, they were going off just the standard rain events that, they're required to calculate for. But, with the recent history of pretty heavy rain events, they wanted us to take a closer look at that, possibly upsizing the swale. Because there was the existing swale that was on the property. We're, looking at possibly tweaking that. But I believe that what's on the site now, is, or what, was approved for phase one is probably sufficient, but I know that the town staff and Kevin Mulvaney, they wanted us to kind of flush it out, show our work, kind of review the calculations to just double check that.
So at this point,
Sorry.
So go ahead, that's fine. I'm
Oh.
kind of starting to ramble. So.
Yeah, that's why I kind of. No, I had a chance to talk to Lance and I've had a chance to talk to Sal. That's my understanding that the town engineer, town staff are gonna get together and figure out if changes to the phase one of approved plan are necessary. And if so, applicant will have to redesign and submit an application for an amended phase one approval. If not, then they'll have an extended, a last extension approval for what has already been approved. But that determination, I believe, is gonna be made by town staff tomorrow. And so at this point, there's no decision as to what, if any, amendments need to be made to the plan, and it's possible that there will be none. It's possible that there will be some, and it doesn't require, some minor changes. Upsizing a swale, may require an amended approval, at which point applicant will have to come back before you. Okay. But at this point, we don't have anything.
So most of the potential changes are stormwater related?
I believe so, and tree.
Okay, and the county sewer district is reviewing the plan. That's one of the things you're waiting for, right?
Right, and I don't believe they have any substantive changes.
Oh, okay.
And I think he had a meeting with Jim Fletcher, and I think that some of that conversation kind of got put on hold because he's like, well, we got to focus on the stormwater here before we talk about other stuff. So I know lately that the concern's just been, getting the site stabilized. Because now we really can't do much out there right now anyways, so just want to make sure it's in good shape for when the snow starts melting and rain comes.
Okay, so we could see a potential amendment or for the time being, as far as the existing approval, like a second 90-day extension. And hopefully this thing will get resolved at least either get the plan signed as is or you file an amendment to the phase one. Okay.
And as long as the change is relatively minor, then I'm sure there's some kind of judgment call threshold that gets met where it's
Yeah, I
substantial
sure leave
or-
that up to MRB. I mean, if
Okay.
it's the size of a swale. Now, if it gets relocated or a basin gets moved or, some lots get changed or roads get realigned, now we're talking something.
Yeah, no, I
Substantive.
don't think we're looking at doing anything like that.
All right, board, anybody have any issues with granting a second 90-day extension to the applicant? No. Okay. Someone want to give me a motion?
I'll make the motion to grant the second 90-day extension for 23-017 to 33-64.
Second. Okay, a motion is second. Looks like the expiration date for this extension would be April 22nd. So that's what we have on our resolution, and I assume that. Again, said.
Is that going off the 23rd date? Maybe I was wrong. I had written down the 25th of January is the.
No, that's what the resolution.
91st 90 days expires January 23rd. The new expiration date would be April 22nd.
Sounds good.
Leap year.
No.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Yep. All right, so back of the church. Final performer. Well, you guys say you guys get put at the end of agendas all the time. It's love to see it and hang around.
I'm used to it.
You're used to it. Okay, so you got the extension at the last meeting for 90 days. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is for the audience. This is a Pierce Brook had requested a 90-day extension, which they got last month or last meeting. And now we're in to discuss relief from our approval, site plan approval regarding condition 14, which was presented to the board last meeting, but Being we presented it the night of the meeting, it didn't give us enough time to look at it. I think we've all looked at it by now, and I think we understand what you're asking for and the responses we've gotten from staff. So if you want to just give us an update, since you were so good to wait through the whole meeting, you might as well earn your money.
So what would you like an update on? I mean,
The reason for the request to have condition 14.
so the reason for the request to remove condition 14 is that there is an allowance in the code that you have in your package there, in the fire code. For relief under certain situations, you have the code enforcement officer's interpretation of that in there. Essentially, the fire code indicates that you've got more than 30 residential units on a dead end street, then you need to sprinkler those. The caveat that is built in there, and I can't remember the section number exactly, but you have it in there, is that if there is future connection proposed, that the fire chief and fire marshal has the ability to waive that sprinkler condition, understanding that that connection will be made in the future. So part of our request, we already have a condition on 2A that we need to include in the 2A letter of credit monies to build the remainder of the road if it's needed. So that protection is there for the town. And then when we go to build section 2B, that letter of credit will have the full money to build the road in it too, and the 2A1 can be released. So I think the one condition that we've kind of worked through with the attorney is, you know, future connection is proposed, we want to ensure that it does get built if something were to happen. So I think there's just some additional language we're looking, you may be looking to have in there to allow some relief from condition 14 of the original approval to allow us to not have to, number one, expose all the soil for both sections all at once, and to limit some of the expense of the road construction. When there's not gonna be any houses there at that point to put on the road, so. The road is probably the one most expensive piece of construction right now. Lately, it's been half or more of the cost to build the infrastructure and the subdivision.
Okay. So does the board understand what the applicant is asking for?
I'm trying to find the letter that they wrote, because I mean, there was something, there was three options.
Three exceptions.
Acceptance. And then we went, the letter said the third one was approved.
Right, that is the code enforcement officer's letter. Oh, I should mention too, you do have a letter in there from the fire chief saying he's reviewed it and feels comfortable that he can service any emergency situation.
We have a letter from code enforcement officer.
Code enforcement, after thorough review, makes the determination that due to the condition and extent of the approvals, exception 3 of D 107.1 is allowed to be utilized to meet code compliance for the development. Would approve an access road given the conditions to be placed on the developer to ensure the future expansion takes place within a reasonable time frame. Oh, developer proposed completion by summer of 2026.
So you're familiar with that? I mean, that's something that Jim Fletcher brought up, and I guess that it's not an open-ended. So
No.
Jim said we need in writing the road regardless of the home construction is done by 2026. Okay, which forces the developer to complete the road dedicated to the town, so we don't have this thing that we've had in the town in the past where it's 10 years before the street.
And we don't intend for it to be open-ended, just give us a little time frame to
So that's
work through 2A to get to 2B.
And while you're thinking, Chris, he also said, we need in writing from their engineer that the water pressure will not drop below 35 PSI in the event of a fire. This is because the water main is dead end until it's connected to Perry Street. I guess in the
Those
interim,
calculations are all provided in our engineer's report. And with the water pressures out there, that's not gonna happen. We've got 90 PSI, I think at one end, it was over 100 at the other end.
oh, so the deadhead has 9.
Yeah.
So we're gonna add that as a condition, just so that code enforcement can review that if they haven't already.
And his last comment was the existing hammerhead will remain in place until the next section of road and hammerhead are dedicated to the town. I think you showed that on the end of phase 1, right?
So yes, I did not see that. That's a little bit difficult because that hammerhead sits where the road connection is.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have a new road connection with gutters that needs to go where that is. That needs to get built before dedication happens, so. It's kind of tough for it to stay there.
Well, I assume you mean stay there until you're out the parish. But you're saying to extend the road, you gotta go across the hammerhead.
Right.
With curbs and gutters.
And we'll build a new hammerhead at the end of 2A that will be there until we construct the road for 2B. And that's critical to be able to get trucks and buses and plows.
Okay, well, I don't think that's in contrast to what he's saying. He's just saying the existing hammerhead will remain in place until the next section of road and hammerhead are dedicated to the town, so.
You
build another
build the road
hammerhead further out.
ahead.
Yeah. So you're just extending the hammerhead to a new hammerhead.
Right.
And then I've prepared a condition to add, or a sentence to add at the end of, no, condition number 11 that Lance has put in, that the road will be completed in its entirety within 3 years after issuance. The final C of O for phase 2A, or 5 years from issuance of the first building permit in 2A, whichever is soon. Years are what I discussed with the applicant, but are obviously up to the board.
So how does that relate to the 2026?
It does not relate to that, really. Did you guys tell Mike Murphy that we need, I mean, because you and Scott and Jeff were wanted a nice chunk of change in case something goes wrong. But somebody told Mike that it would be 2 years from now, which maybe he misunderstood, maybe what signals got crossed, but my 3 and 5 seems to pale in comparison to 2.
So.
Which I apologize, I just didn't see that until I read it right now.
That 2026 may have been in a conversation that Jeff had. Jeff had a lot of conversations with Mike and Jim that I wasn't involved in those conversations, but our expectation is that within 2 years of starting 2A, we will be starting 2B.
Yeah,
there's obviously lots of conditions that can happen between then and now. House sales can slow down for a little bit. But our expectation at this point is within 2 years of starting 2A, we would be starting 2B.
why don't we do this? Road will be completed
And
in its entirety on or before January 1st, 2027. Unless further extended by the planning board. You guys come in and say, hey, this is why we're built.
That works. That gives us the ability, if there's something slowing things down, to come in and have that discussion.
I think that makes
Chris,
sense.
that's built and dedicated, right?
Yes.
You didn't say dedicated.
It's in its entirety. But yes,
Okay,
built and dedicated is what I meant.
Okay.
Clearly said.
I'd love to correct the words.
Yeah, you really.
All right, so that would be a condition of the removal of condition. Well, be a new
Just
condition.
amended site plans.
Are we amending condition 14 then, or are we
No,
eliminating
You're
it?
granting an amended site plan approval.
We're removing
Oh,
14 and then modifying 11. Based
Oh.
on,
You're adding 11.
Adding a bunch of stuff to
Adding
it.
to 11.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so this is your original, like you said.
So I believe
No,
11
built and
required
dedicated on.
already for
Yeah,
these
that's
are
okay.
2A. So we're just going to add some additional wording to
Okay.
that one.
Yeah.
So
but-
11
but-
gets amended in accordance with what you
Yeah.
said. 14 goes away.
What was 14 was you have to have the whole road built before any CLOs for or permits. Okay. Yeah.
The old,
That's my understanding.
yeah, the old 14.
And that has already been struck from the
Yep.
copy that's in front of
It was under read about street. Okay, yeah, it's already out. So you just have to amend as far as the resolution.
Yes.
Okay. Kabish? Okay. If everyone understands what we're doing here, let's make a motion to amend the subdivision. For 2A and 2B.
I'll make that motion to amend the conditions of the Pierce Brook subdivision CPN 23-038 with 11 and 14 changing.
14's out.
Yeah, changing.
Right, 11's amended. Yeah. I'll second. Okay, for discussion, everybody understand, we got it. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed. Okay, thanks, fellas.
Thank you very much. Let's let us know if there's any additional documentation you need from us for that.
No, the
okay.
surety estimates.
Yep.
Right? He doesn't have those, right, does he? I'm assuming.
Nope, I've been working with Marathon on those to get those in, so should have those shortly.
Call if you need anything from me.
Yep, we'll do. Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
Thanks, guys.
Let's talk about the minutes from January 9th. Everybody is comfortable. Any further additions, corrections from the minutes that Karina sent out?
Make the motion that we approve the minutes as written.
One second. Very good job on them. Yeah, there's very detailed. Yes, good job. Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have no Sherry releases or credits. Other business, other than Bob, you weren't here at the last meeting, but I acknowledge you had put together the solar checklist. Don't know what, I guess obviously staff's gonna have it. It'd be helpful to them in terms of applications. They come in, I think it's grown even. Oh, it is. Yeah, you want to, yeah. And it certainly would be helpful to planning board members because it's an easy way to go through and figure out what has to be met in terms of setbacks. So when we get our next solar project, we have the ammunition to do that. Thanks for doing that. Referrals from town board. The sidewalk and vision map and report was amended to some degree. It will be on the town board's agenda for February 12th to, I guess, adopt it or accept it. So that is moving along. German Brothers rezoning. I think they've.
We're going back and forth on that one.
Okay, I think you're gonna do it publicly on the 31st, right?
Yes.
So
Well,
it's
it's
on the
not
agenda.
to set a public hearing, it's a continued public hearing, but if they're close to an agreement, I think we'll set an official public hearing, a new public hearing for February.
And they have our report. And they have an ECB report right now, so they got the ammunition.
Yep.
Any other referrals? No. CBA, special projects. I also announced, Bob, that you will be the special projects coordinator. And I asked the board members if they wanted to sort of go on to another project, if they so choose. I know some of the projects are sort of just, nothing's happening on the public side of things, so there's not a lot to be done. And I guess I should also say that we are being invited to go before the town board. I think that's the March meeting. First meeting in March of the town board. And we'll tell them what we're doing and they'll ask us questions and I don't think that's official yet. In fact, you had an ECB minutes that you're gonna be asked to come before, I think you're February.
Really?
Okay.
It's coming up quick, because I was looking at the calendar that the town board adopted at their reorganizational meeting and ECB
All right.
February.
Okay.
I have no idea what they're looking for from us. I assume we'll get some sort of invitation or what they're gonna be asking for. I know you're not the one to ask. The people to ask are not here.
So kind of fun related to special projects. I was in a factory yesterday that makes all of those 5G telephone pole heads. Those are actually good for it. 1 kilometer range, believe it or not.
Really?
I would say on your special projects, I would each consider how you could change code. Like, what could you write to the code to change the code, like I did for SOLA? Instead of just, what can we do for the town?
Yeah.
To put it in writing, this is what we'd like to see and have that put forward to the town. Think about putting it in words.
And Tim, if you have something to spend your beanie that you'd like to do a little more research on, certainly jump in, let us know, or let Rob know. Okay, training. We're back into a new year. Those of you who attended the meeting last week on it was on the form base. I forgot it was on. See, made such an impression on me. It was an informative meeting and you'll get an hour and a half worth of credit for everyone who sat in. Mark, Sarah said she recorded it. I don't
Just request
what station it's on.
I
Channel 8, you
will
attended.
download it and take care of that and get it up. Sure.
Okay. And the New York Planning Federation Conference is coming up in Saratoga Springs. And I asked Sarah how many we're allowed to send. And we agreed that planning board would send one person, ZBA would send one person. If the ZBA doesn't send a person, planning board can send 2 people. So Tim, would you be interested in going? We usually offer it to the newest member of the board, so they sort of get up to speed. And it's April 7th to the 9th in Saratoga Springs. If you're available, fine. If not, we'll move on to somebody else. If a second opening comes up, anybody interested?
When is it?
Are you going?
April 7th to the 9th.
It's Sunday to Tuesday,
You were there last year.
and the 9th
Sorry.
would be one of our meetings.
I like when it's like.
Well,
It doesn't matter.
I could always, I could fill it. I can
Yeah.
just another visit. I can do the refresher. Retraining. So there's that. There's the boot camp still going on. So look at those and there's lots of opportunities out there. Okay, the readoption of the rules of procedure, not to make a meeting any longer, but Chris was good enough to put together some recommendations.
These are sort of my conglomeration of Chuck's proposals, Bob's proposals, and what Lance sent a memo to me, and then some consolidation and organization. There's no reason to have a list of examples in your rules of procedure. These are rules.
That's usually done at PRC anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, what made me realize that was Bob's point. Can we make this a checklist? We better have this as a checklist for PRC, it's definitely not in the actual rule. It points out what we've talked about, determinations of completeness, zoning officer's decision, she can get overruled by the chairman. Scheduling. Says what will be on the agenda. Had a couple conversations with the town planner, Sarah Reynolds. She's uncomfortable changing the way we've done the agendas for the past decade without something in writing. But I wish it just said the name of the property, not the name of the engineer's business address, and it drives me bonkers. And I think it drives you guys bonkers too.
Especially a name I can't pronounce.
Yeah. That's for the most part. it.
The only thing I commented on your comments
Right.
Was how the applicant was gonna make a formal presentation.
Yeah, I didn't know. Oh,
You
I
kind of
left
took
that
out
out, but I was.
what I wanted to hear there, but personally, when I hear them over Zoom, I don't get anything. I'd rather have them here if possible, primarily if possible, them here.
Okay.
Kind of gotten back to that, but I mean, I don't want to fall back into them being in Zoom and here, point over there. No, I can't see what you're looking at.
A presentation describing shall be made to the board and all others in attendance by applicant.
In person when able to, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Person. Unless circumstances.
Yeah. Would be the norm, not the.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
And how did you address the length of the meeting? I
saw that.
The discretion of the chairman to.
Yeah, you can cut off
Yeah.
the meeting whenever you want. Now. What did I put? I think I said the board got to vote. But. And as a general proposition, a motion to adjourn. Is always in order. Oh, maybe it's not, so once you're through with the agenda, if it's 10 o'clock at night. You know, somebody needs to make a motion and then you have a vote on, it. Then you have a discussion on it, well, we've only got 5 more minutes. Or whatever, and then you have a vote. You don't even need that. You can do it whenever. You can definitely.
Yeah, that's right there.
Yeah. Adjourn the meeting at any time. Shall be rescheduled.
Oh, yeah, and I said.
As determined by the chair.
Appearing on the agenda
like that.
can be rescheduled.
As determined by the chair, who we all hope consults with Kristen and Lance. Before he makes any decisions on.
Well, the other thing, I'm gonna look at the crowd. If you got a lot of people out here that came out for an application, I'm not gonna say, well, we're not gonna do it tonight, gangs.
I don't think you guys will ever do it. I don't think. You know. These meetings, I used to be here till 11 sometimes. But meetings started at 7 or 7:30. You guys are almost always out around 9. Very rarely does it
Let's
push
keep it
past.
that way now. Sorry.
Very rarely does it push past that.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen 10 in town hall yet.
And mainly all our public stuff is done earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're talking about that.
Yes.
I would say, and I would strongly caution, don't start thinking about it until it's getting close to 10 p.m. And if you're gonna say, oh, it's 8:30, we're on our way out.
I like
That's
that
not-
wording. It gives the discretion,
Yeah.
the vagueness to use it as you wish.
Vague.
Well, the other thing
Great.
I'll look at is if it's a scheduled public hearing that's been advertised.
Yeah.
You know, there's no use calling it off and having to re-advertise and bring everybody back, so.
And if,
So I know how to play it.
yeah, and if it's
Yep.
just Logan Rockcastle, with, you know, and his applicants aren't desperate for approvals this week, well, it changes the circumstance.
Okay, very good.
So you need to adopt these or.
So everybody have a chance to look at them?
Look good.
Everybody comfortable with them?
Yes. Yes. Thank
You'll
you.
notice I snuck out of the requirement or need for an annual report.
I like that.
I saw that,
Gravity.
yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna be going in front of the town board
Yeah.
twice a year. And I mean, all we're really doing in the annual report, say how many applications we received. We do a report on our projects. We don't have a lot of action items in the comp plan that are here to the planning board. I mean, we have a couple of them we're working on, but it's not like we're the comp plan gurus. So I think as long as we talk to them on a biannual basis, I think that's fine. So if someone wants to make a motion to adopt those regulations as amended. So moved.
Second. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
motion
Nadler.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Chris, can you get a final copy to Kristen and she can circulate it? I don't know who else it has to do.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Or Kim can do it. Yeah,
Feels
just so we all have
Send
a
it to
copy
everybody,
and.
just so. Everybody on staff.
Don't worry.
Adopted. Yeah.
Oh, quick Amanda.
Yes,
Less than
motion to
9 o'clock.
adjourn at 9 p.m.
Did not hear that thing I said about that at any time.
Goodbye.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all. Thank you, Matt.
Don't start thinking about adjourning till 10.